Chapter 2, A One Do It. After confirming that Robin had left the building, one of the new saints stood up and shouted angrily, "Billy, what was that? At least you should have pressed him more or tried to bargain with him to lessen this terrifying amount of gold. What would he do with it anyway? The family is in need of this wealth right now more than ever. If you can't manage the family resources wisely, then leave the job to someone who can." The usual light smile wiped off Billy's face as he moved his head slowly and gave that old man a vicious stare that caused him to fall back on his chair. Then he started moving his eyes on the rest with the same stare. Billy had just broken through to level 24 saint. Aside for the patriarch and Saint David, there was no one stronger than him in the family. The oppressive atmosphere lasted for a few seconds. None dared to say another word. After making sure everyone was back to his seat silently, a smile returned to Billy's face as he pointed toward the map. "Anyway, in this place I wish to build a large public square, and there we need to add another." After Robin left the patriarch's building, he left the administrative area for his usual tour around the city. First towards Uncle Tim's restaurant, which was still standing because it was built in a suitable place and is still new. Then he started walking around the city to see the new expansions and demolitions himself. But there was something missing from his tour. Everything he loved to do before was still there, and the people of the city loved him more than ever after his achievements as a general in the Lying Water Kingdom Wars, some even to the point of worship. But for some reason, the food did not taste the same, and walking in the streets and public parks did not bring him the same smile. Even some mild depression started filling him up instead. He did not know what happened to his mood today, so he decided to go back to his palace directly and end the tour in the middle of it. Robin's palace, his secret room in front of a large bonfire. When Robin came out recently, his main goal was to meet a city official to tell him that he would be auctioning off the first grade of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique in 2 weeks' time, when the auction house opened again. But delaying for 2 more months gave him a crazy idea. What if he managed to make the second grade of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique before the auction? Robin had modified the second grade of a few minor heavenly law cultivation techniques, and his eye of truth could see the patterns of the second grade of laws relatively clearly after entering the knighthood. There was nothing to hinder him from trying. A week followed another. Separating the patterns of the second degree from a certain law from everything that he sees in front of him was not as easy as he thought. He also wanted to make sure of something else. In particular, he had to find easy and streamlined ways to connect the second grade of the technique with the first grade, so that a bottleneck wouldn't appear for anyone using his technique when he reached level 20. Robin's current goal is to kill any reason that prevents a cultivator or delays him from entering the sainthood. After about 5 weeks, almost all the important patterns, threads, and connections were already formed in his head, and he grabbed a blank book and a pen. This was writing the complete technique for the second grade of minor law from scratch. Not only that, Robin even decided to write notes, give suggestions, and explain the technique in the simplest way possible for those with less talent to have a faster breakthrough. All this took Reuben a little more than 3 weeks. Finally, Robin grabbed the book of the second grade in one hand and the book of the first grade in the other, lifted them up high, and started laughing hysterically as he looked at them. Even with the effort he made to find a minor law inferior to that of the royal family and be half as strong at most, his attempt failed, and it was a catastrophic failure. The minor heavenly law of blaze. That was his choice for the first public minor heavenly law cultivation technique. It is indeed lower in nature than the one used by the royal family, but now that he has seen the end result of the perfect minor heavenly law cultivation technique, they are simply as strong, or maybe even a little stronger. Of course, these comparisons are in relation to the strength of the first and second grades of the law. This cannot be compared to the priority of the third degree with the one of the royal family. Even after a few hours had passed since the last word he wrote in that book, Robin did not let it go of his hand, as though he was reflecting the most beautiful gem in the world, with only one thing in his head. Should I write my name on them, or not? Legacy, fame, history, immortality. This is what he was working for in the first place. This is what drove him to leave everything behind and enter that cave a century and a half ago. And the opportunity has finally come. The Burtons no longer had real enemies within the kingdom, and even if they had them, With the Bradleys and Altons as allies and the Burton's army itself, what enemy could he fear on the scoop of this entire continent? And on a personal level, there are level 30 saints from the royal family who protect him all the time. Why should he be afraid then? From who? A voice kept resounding in his head non-stop. Do it, do it. Chapter 202 Gold. Grand auction halls, where the most rare and precious items are sold, where the wealthiest and the strongest compete with each other to win them. To hold such an auction and invite the powerhouses of the kingdom, then it must contain many types of strong beasts' hides, weapons, natural resources, tough minerals, and many more. It is one of the most important practices on the continent, and in almost every city there is at least a small hall. Especially the auction halls in the ancient ducal cities are the most prosperous and rich in treasures. But those ancient auction halls often take a year or more to collect enough resources to call for an auction. And of course, the ultimate number one is the Capital Auction Hall, which is an event that takes place every 5 years and brings together all the nobles of the kingdom. No matter what they are doing, they must leave everything aside and go to have a look there. However, the main role of the auction hall has changed in recent years. With the emergence of Grand Jura's auction hall that contains nothing but runes, and only recently a few categorized weapons have begun to be sold as well, and it is held once a month, which is an extremely fast pace. And during the rest of the month, the auction hall remains open for selling fixed-price talismans. Jura Auction Hall has undoubtedly become the focus of everyone's attention as of late, taking the limelight of the Capital Auction Hall. Even as it is selling the same items every month, the high-level nobles would rather go there than the Capital Auction Hall if they are both held in the same day. Actually, there is no noble family inside the Black Sun Kingdom without people who are always in Jura to find out if there is news, and try to buy something useful for them or for their families if the money is available. But recently, as if the Burton family thought this interest in their auction hall wasn't high enough, they announced a public sale of a minor heavenly law cultivation technique. Billy spared no effort in publicity as Robin recommended, and indeed the whole kingdom has been upended over the past 2 months by the news. Regardless of Jura's auction, this was the first time in the kingdom and perhaps the entire continent that a minor heavenly law cultivation technique is to be sold. Civilian merchant families, smaller military families, big gangs and desert bandits, and lone cultivators have been looking for an opportunity like this for ages. They all resolved to go and have a look. Even though they all knew that an auction like this will end by selling the minor heavenly law cultivation technique with millions of gold coins, even if they were sure that it is impossible for them to even look at it. But this is still a unique moment in the history of the kingdom, and at least they should take part in this. Maybe this event will be the spark that will allow for more minor heavenly law cultivation technique to be sold in the future. The noble families from the oldest to the youngest also decided to attend, and with the presence of major family figures this time, and not the usual representatives, many families sent their patriarchs personally to Jura. All the great noble families would like to increase their options, and all the small noble families would dream of one more choice when nurturing a new knight. 12 days later, auction hall reopening day, Robin Palace. Robin. Billy went straight into the palace and yelled excitedly, "Where are you? The opening ceremony starts soon." About a minute later, Robin climbed down the stairs with a smile on his face. Finally. "Oh, you seem as excited as me or more. That is rare. You want those 25 million this bad?" "Ha ha," Billy chuckled. "But I warn you, an auction of a technique will give you no more than 1 million or 2 if the technique is good enough and the guests are in a good mood. Don't get your hopes up too much. I'm afraid you won't be collecting those 25 million gold coin today, my friend." "Auction? Who said anything about an auction?" Robin exclaimed with a raised eyebrow and moved towards the gate. "Huh," surprised Billy. "No auction? But what about all those advertisements? At least tell me what you intend." "Send people to carry the scrolls and tablets from the front of my private room and send them into the auction hall," said Robin, turning his back to Billy. "I'll be waiting there. When the time comes to announce the technique, tell me. I will personally introduce my creation this time." Billy furrowed his eyebrows lightly, then quickly sped down the stairs, but soon came to a stop and opened his eyes wide. "Oh my God. 29,000 gold coins. The gentleman in the 14th row says 29,000. Is there any higher bidder?" 32,000. This tablet will not belong to anyone but me. Oomph. 35,000 gold coins. It's mine. Damn it. 35,000. 35,000. Are you bidders? Single-use thoughts conveying technique tablet. Sold to anonymous bidder number 6, 41-inch. Next time, it will definitely be mine. It's already been a few hours since the reopening ceremony, yet the competition didn't subside for a moment. The first bidding started by selling only a package of 50 level 6 fire explosion talismans, but it was still quite exciting for everyone, and the package was sold at 3,000 gold coins, which means 60 gold coins per one. That's more than thrice the initial price for this kind of talisman. All those present were either well-known nobles, famous merchants, or even anonymous individuals who wear masks and refuse to reveal their identity. But there was one thing that was common among all of them: gold. They all came with carriages laden to the brim with bags full of gold. This is undoubtedly the largest gathering of golden coins that the kingdom has witnessed throughout its history. Never before has an event been held that called for these numbers of wealthy people to prepare all this money and gather in one place. Had they not known about the existence of the new car park that was built next to the auction hall and the tight security on it, and the Burton family bears responsibility for securing them on their way out of Jura City, today's event would not have been possible, not with this site at least. Even Robin himself, on his way to the auction hall, saw the flashy carriages and the bags of gold and precious stones on them, started to drool, thinking, all this will become mine today. But he quickly restrained his thoughts and began to think how impractical this method of exchanging resources was. In the end, gold is just a heavy and flashy-looking metal. Why is it used alone in transactions? Why is there no higher-level currency that is easy to carry around to lighten people's burdens while traveling? He has no doubt that some of those who intend to come today did not arrive because of the bandits attacking them on the way. This is simply disturbing and may cause many commercial transactions to be discouraged just because of the concern about the way the gold will be transported. In the end, he decided to put his thoughts behind him temporarily and made his way to the hall. Today he has a show to host. Chapter 203: Unwanted Attention. A batch of 2010-day acceleration vitality talismans. The starting bid is 20,000 gold coins. Announced the Elder hosting the auction. Although the Elder is just a new saint, this is the first auction in history to be hosted by a saint personally. The guests didn't know if this was a special event for the reopening of the largest auction hall in the kingdom, or did the Burton family just want to show off their new saints. But it didn't really matter. In the end, they succeeded in both. 21,000 gold coins. I hope everyone will let me win it, and I will surely remember your grace. I need this batch a lot to save lives. I bid 22,000 gold coins. Haha, as if I would. 25,000 gold coins. 37,000 gold coins for 2010-day acceleration vital runes. Is there any higher bidder? Sold. The elders announced and pointed toward the buyer. Although there are now many selling points around the city for these regular talismans at a fixed price, the demand for them is simply too high, and obtaining a large number of talismans in a short period is still very difficult. Even those who do not need the talismans would hover around a selling point and go buy everything they can as soon as a new talisman arrives, simply to sell them again on the black market later for a much higher price. This was the best opportunity to get reasonable-sized batches, directly from the source. Of course, the prices become much higher if compared to the fixed price at the selling points, but it is still actually a little cheaper than the black market. It's already been about 3 hours since the auction started, and the hall hasn't calmed down for a moment from the competition. However, the people who booked the VIP rooms haven't bought anything yet. They just didn't come for this. Even though their hands eat them to buy all those talismans, the money they brought in today must be kept for the main event. Finally, their wait paid off, as the host saint opened both hands smilingly. Ladies and gentlemen, there are no more talismans to sell today, but the auction is not over. We have kept you waiting long enough. It's time for the main event of the day. Finally. Come on, get it out quickly. Please first give us an overview of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique. As if a storm broke out in the hall, the VIPs finally tilted their bodies forward to take a better look at the hall from above, and the ordinary nobles stood up and started shouting excitedly. Haha, please calm down. I had the honor of hosting today's event up until this point. But now, someone more suitable than me for this special event will take the position. The saint signaled everyone to sit down, then looked toward a certain direction in the hall. You may come forward. The stage is ready for you. Everyone looked in the same direction and found a young man leaning against one of the walls of the hall at the back, then began to move towards the platform with steady steps with a smile on his face. Upon seeing him, the VIPs started to furrow their eyebrows. As for the rest of the lesser nobles, they just were unable to observe silently. Who is this? He's a young guy. At level 13 of knighthood? How can a child be more fit than a saint to offer us the technique of laws? Tisk, they are messing with us now. The Burton's mind games are really as weird as them. Here the saint who was still on the stage raised an eyebrow and shouted, "Silence! You are in the Burton family land. Even if we bring a baby to host the auction, he must be respected." Very powerful words, and some might even consider them an insult. But no one said a word to respond. The pressure coming from the name Burton has simply gotten too intense lately. Haha, I apologize for raising my voice. Please don't take offense from the words of this old man. Then the saint continued, deferring to Robin. This young man here is Robin Burton. I have no doubt that all of you have heard that name in one way or another. Everyone returned to look at the young man who was still making his way to the stage, but this time it was not a look of disdain, but rather an amazement. Robin? Is that Robin? He looks so young. The one who took Lady Mila Bradley as his fiancée? I heard he was the one who laid the foundation for the economic adjustment that changed the shape of Juris City and the surrounding areas. Forget that. He is the one who combined the attacks of 2,500 knights to attack tens of saints from the Tinley family, including the Duke, and killed 3 of them. Wasn't he the general who fought to defend the Duchy of Alton at the Dimbley Hills famous battle and protected the whole kingdom from the counter-invasion? I heard that the war on the Rufus family happened because someone attacked this young man in the street. Rumor has it that he is the one who laid out the strategies to take control of the Duchy of Harris with near-zero casualties from the Burtons. Robin Burton has superior energy control skills and has intimidating military and strategic capabilities. He's a pearl to the Burton family. No wonder he would have the honor of introducing this technique. That's his reward for sure. Brother Robin, you are the best. Side gossip began to take place among the guests, and quickly all the public news about Robin Burton spread among them. A few shouts also began to rise, but this time not to mock him. Robin Burton. In one of the private rooms, an extremely old mummy-looking man muttered, "Didn't you say?" In the report, he is his current age, about 170 years of age? There is no doubt, Your Highness. This young man was actually born in Juris City 170 years ago and disappeared for over a century before returning to his home recently. Everyone knows this. One of the 2 men standing behind the old man bowed respectfully and spoke directly in his ear. He was a level Saint 30. But the age of his bones, he is barely 26 years old. The old man muttered again as if every word that came out of his mouth would take his life a few days. It is true, Your Highness. This is a mystery that baffles everyone who knows it, but no one dared to pressure the Burton family to know the details of this strange phenomenon. We heard that a few noble families has spoken with the royals and asked them to pressure Robin themselves to speak about the secret, but they were refused. I think that the royal family of the Black Sun Kingdom does not want to steer problems with the Burton family in that aspect, since they do not have any high elder who is close to the limits of his life force. The person on the other side also bowed completely and replied. He also was a level 30 saint. Robin Burton, the old man muttered but didn't add another word, just following Robin with his almost closed eyes until he reached the stage. Chapter 204 Disappointment. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for keeping you waiting. Are you ready for the main event? Robin finally reached the middle of the stage and spoke with a confident smile. Hell yeah. Some enthusiastic young men responded, and the rest of the guests began to tilt their bodies in hope and prepare for the historical moment. Robin looked at his side and pointed his finger, and a few beautiful girls came in pulling a small cart made of gold and precious stones. Above the cart, there are 4 items, 2 scrolls and 2 metal tablets. This. Everyone started examining the 4 items carefully. There is nothing special about the 2 scrolls or tablets. In fact, there were only 2 small lines written on the 4. First line in a scroll and board, the perfect technique of the minor heavenly law of Blaze 1. And on the second scroll and the second tablet it is written in the first line, the perfect technique of the minor heavenly law of Blaze 2. The second line on the 4 of them is the same, created by Burton. The perfect technique of the minor heavenly law of Blaze. What is this? Has anyone heard of that name before? No, I haven't read that name in the list of discovered laws before. I thought the Burtons were going to sell one of the techniques they seized in their last wars. Maybe one from Dolliver or from the Lying Water. And who is this Burton? A technique made by one of the Burton family? Is this a game? I knew it was a scam since I first heard the news. No wonder the royal family allowed it to be sold. I don't have time for this. Most of the guests turned silent and sided, but some couldn't handle the shock and started raining questions, and even anger began to rise amongst a few of them. They all came for the opportunity to buy one of the well-known techniques from one of the neighboring kingdoms, but in the end, they found a law they had never heard of and is signed by someone from the Burton family? Who in the Burton family could write a technique for a newly discovered heavenly law? Even their patriarch is barely at level 26. Anyone can grab a pen and paper and write any nonsense and say it's a new technique. It doesn't mean it works. Who would want to buy something like that? Haha. I guess the auction is over at this point. Goodbye, everyone. Take me with you. I want a few good things today. It wasn't a completely useless visit, haha. A few people ignored Robin and start walking toward the exits already. Even those of them who actually care about the technique and might have bought it from another place and gave it a chance. But even those started laughing and getting out too. It is the best possible chance to give the Burton family a political blow to discredit them and return them to reality after the rocket rise they have been on recently. And what is the worst thing that can happen to them? Nothing. What would the Burtons do? These runes have already become public property for everyone in the kingdom. They can't stop them from buying them. Never mind them saying a few words. There was even a small group from the Everin family here today, and they won a few talisman batches. They heard that the royal family has interfered lately and forced the Burtons to allow their enemies to come to their city and buy their stuff. So if even the Everins who have a direct conflict with the Burtons can attend, why fear them? It is time to kick them when it hurts. Their money. The rest of the guests began to look at those next to them with questions and bewilderment in their eyes. What would they do in such a situation? Is it better if they complimented the impulsive nobles who heft and go after them? Or do they sit to the end even if they weren't willing to buy it, so as not to anger the Burton family? The guests began to look at the Burton family members to see their reactions, and they found that all the organized Burton family members were looking toward the stage, their hands clenched and their eyes full of sparks as if they were waiting for a signal. Even the few saints among them were no exception to this. When they followed the path of their eyes, everyone's eyes eventually fell on the stage as well, specifically on Robin. He simply stood with his eyes closed and his breath steady. Even his heartbeat slowed, as if he was floating in a pool of icy water. He didn't try to stop anyone. He didn't try to justify anything. He didn't give any orders or move a step. He just stood there. Seeing him like this baffled the hesitant even more. This young man, named Robin, simply wasn't shaken by what was happening around him at all. In the end, they resolved to stay and listen to the end politely. Being stuck in the thighs of a rising family is better than trying to stop them and creating enmity with them without a real reason. After about 5 minutes, about 15% of the total number in the hall had already left the hall, and the rest were sitting silently in their seats. They were waiting for Robin to announce the start of the auction on the technique and someone buys it, so they too can leave for their business elsewhere. After another 5 minutes, Robin opened his eyes, at last, looked toward one of the Burton saints, and spoke with a low voice. "Uncle Milton, please make a list of the families of all those who have just left the auction hall. From today onwards, all of those families will have to pay 10 times what everyone else is paying in exchange for our products. This is a final and irreversible decision. Consider it done." The saint nodded with a smile. Who? Most of the crowd let out a long exhale. The rest furrowed their eyebrows. This was simply too overpowering. Robin Burton, don't you think that's too harsh? They just said their opinion. one of the nobles who had a good relationship with those who stepped out and spoke. "You may call me Sir Robin or Your Excellency Robin." Robin looked at that person with an eye filled with disdain before he continued. "This is our city, our auction hall, our sales and our rules. Whoever doesn't want to abide by them does not need to come to Jura anymore." "Rob, you." The nobleman cut his yell in the middle of his anger and continued. "Do you really think you can carry out this punishment? Do you know exactly who these are? They are from Earl, Viscount, and even Marquis families. How many people do you want to provoke? Can you even handle it?" Then he looked at his sides. "Can't you see what's going on? They are trying to dominate the whole kingdom. They're using the monopoly over the rune sales here to do whatever they want. How can you keep yourself silent over this? We all have to leave to tell those thugs that it's impossible to control us." Robin gave a mocking chuckle and shook his head, then raised his head and scanned the entire hall with his eyes. "Gentlemen, you all know how respectful the Burton family is in dealing with our guests, and you know who was wrong in the previous situation, and the wrongdoer must be punished. This is the punishment of the Burton family that came down on them, and it will not change. If you all want to join them, there is no problem. The prices of everything will be raised 10 times for everyone. And if you do not buy anything in the future, there is no problem either. We will store those talismans and weapons and use them in our own wars. Many of our members would love that anyways. We have lived without the sales of talismans for thousands of years, and we don't mind living without your gold again. As for those of you who want to stay, I promise you that you will never regret it." Chapter 2:05 Blaze. This is too arrogant. This was the first thing that crossed everyone's mind when they heard Robin's statement. This is the first time they have seen this young man, but he has already begun to establish new policies, and everyone present from the Burtons is okay with it, including their saints. Indeed, the Burton family has been treating the guests with great respect since the first day they started selling the runes. They were even mocked for being too respectful. Even if a noble had bullied a member of the Burton family or created trouble, things were resolved amicably, especially if they were from families of the rank of Marquis or Duke. Even though Robin's words sound respectful, it is clear that completely different policies will begin. Those nobles who left wanted to make a big problem to shake the confidence of the Burton family and bring them back to the ground, telling them that they are still a new family without real allies. They wanted to tell the Burton family that even with your recent victories, you are still nothing in the political arena. And Robin's announcement was the exact opposite. "How arrogant," the same man shouted. "You really think you will be able to pass those punishments of yours? I dare you to hold on to it for more than a week." Robin looked towards the man in an awkward way and spoke. "I'm starting to feel that you want to hurt them more, not defend them. Are you stupid or just can't the new reality? Tell you what, I will play with you in both ways." Robin smiled and then continued. "In addition to the punishment I imposed on them for eternity, I will also forbid them from buying the Blaze Minor Heavenly Law cultivation technique for 50 years. Who wants your stupid technique? Did you hear that, everyone? Do you see how arrogant are they?" Yes, they heard, and Robin's words terrified them. This new face of the Burtons was too overbearing. Everyone in the room began to balance again between continuing to deal in peace with the arrogant Burton family or joining the families who left the hall to protest these new policies. In the end, no one moved. Some of them are low-level nobles and don't care much about the political arena. They just want to buy talismans to strengthen their families. And some of them do not want problems with the family that controls the largest duchy in the kingdom, especially if it is something that has nothing to do with them in the first place. Others, like gang leaders, famous merchants, and representatives of the wealthier mortal family, simply want to buy this technique even if it is the worst minor heavenly law cultivation technique in history. On the contrary, what is happening now benefits them. Rather, they wish that the rest would rise and leave to raise their chances of winning this auction. They don't need the best minor heavenly law cultivation technique or even average one, just the trashiest of them would do. If just one among them entered level 11, they would be glad. The man who spoke earlier looked around and found no one else standing. A few minutes passed, and everyone was still in their place. No one even adjusted his way of sitting. He finally realized that his efforts had failed. Then he just returned quietly to his seat again, as if nothing had happened. But that didn't go unnoticed by Robin, who pointed at him. Did you ask my permission, Tio? Put your ASS-1 my property? Get out of this hall right now. And starting today, your family will need to pay 15 times the original cons of any of our products. R.O. Robin Burton. Don't press me too far. The man was shocked like never before in his life. He couldn't even muster a reply. But Robin didn't look at him again. He just waved to the guards, and a few individuals in the white armor of the Fire Legion came forward, then grabbed that person and dragged him towards the exit under everyone's fearful gazes. All right, I guess the minor annoyance is over. Robin finally smiled and clasped his hands together before he continued. I'm sure some of you have some concerns about this new technique, and it's your right as buyers, so let me show you a bit of its power. Shwalea. Robin raised his right hand, and an almost invisible pale-colored flame appeared around his palm. Sree. Unlike a perfect heavenly law of fire, this one didn't burn silently. It was far from calm. A bone-chilling sound began to emerge from the pale flame, a frightening sound, as if the surrounding air was screaming for help from the severity of the agony that had befallen it. Everyone in the hall slowly started to stand up, as if they were trying to get an inch closer to that pale flame. Shock. This flame, this technique, it's more powerful than the first grade of law, fire shards? Someone muttered. Fire shards my ass. I saw a prince using the minor law technique that belongs to the royal family once. It's absolutely as powerful as this one. It was not known which VIP room this shout came from, but everyone's eyes widened more and more, and some of them could not control themselves anymore and swallowed their saliva. The voices of Gulp became the only thing that could be heard in the hall after the terrifying sound of the flames. After a few more seconds, Robin closed his fist, making the flame disappear, and said, I apologize to all of you for my inability to give you a better demonstration. I haven't built my cultivation pillars using the minor heavenly law of blaze, so I can only show about 70% of the true power of the technique. But rest assured, the knights who are going to build their cultivation pillars using this technique will be able to show significantly more strength. What? Why didn't he use this law to build his pillars, and could he show such strength by using it? Doesn't that make it better than the one with the royal family already? Damn it, I almost followed those retards and was about to leave. I'm glad as hell I stayed. This ex-Burton's guy? What a genius. What a legendary technique. This technique from today belongs to my family. I will win it. It's mine. I'll pay 1,000,000 coins for it. Get away, clown, 1,000,000? I'm bidding 1.5 million gold coins. The initial shock soon turned to hysteria. All the representatives of the big noble families started shooting numbers left and right. Some of them started using sound rings to call their family headquarters to ask them for permission to use more gold. And others fell into a pit of despair already. Representatives of small noble families, merchants, and the others, since they saw that little burning in Robin's hand, they knew that it was impossible for them to win this technique anymore. Everything went back to zero for them. Sigh, they all sat back to their places, dejected. It was expected from the beginning that they would not win, but at least they had the honor of attending this historic event. Chapter 206 Stage 1. Since they started bidding, Robin has been watching around silently with a slight smile on his face, not saying anything, nor stopping them. And he remained in this state until the owners of private rooms also began to bid, and soon the last price was set for 2.8 million gold coins for the first stage of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique. And the auction did not stop at this point, but there were no indications that it would stop before reaching at least 4 million gold coins. Even Robin was dumbfounded under that smile. First stage minor heavenly law cultivation technique can take its user to the knighthood realm, but that's it. These people who are racing to empty their pockets to buy it are all high-level nobles, and they all have other minor heavenly law cultivation techniques that have reached the second stage. He simply hadn't expected how tempting it would be for more knights with such formidable power to appear in any family, even if they were destined to never enter the sainthood. The bidding reached 4.2 million after a few minutes, and the struggle between the buyers began to ease significantly, but it did not stop. The richer individuals who occupy the regular seats in the hall began to fall in succession to their chairs in disappointment. This technique got out of their hands. It's now most likely will go to one of the Duke families. At this point, Robin raised his hand and gestured to calm everyone down. What is the matter, young Robin? No winner has come out yet, asked one of the VIP guests with a frown. He was the last person to put a price to bid. There is neither winner nor loser today, Your Highness, Duke Julian, Robin replied, shaking his head. The Duke furrowed an eyebrow, not understanding anything. Haha, please allow me to explain. I had no intention of starting today's auction on this minor heavenly law cultivation technique. You guys started the bidding before you gave me a chance to explain, and frankly, I thought it would be a good opportunity to know the real value of the technique. So that technique isn't for sale? You didn't gather us here to play with our nerves, right, young man? Another strong sound came from one of the VIP rooms. How would I dare? Robin put his left hand on his chest. This minor heavenly law cultivation technique will definitely be sold today. It's just that the selling method will be different. No one else spoke. They all just looked at the platform with furrowed brows, trying to deduce what was going on. Robin walked towards the little golden carriage next to him and picked up one of the two scrolls and one of the two tablets, the two with the number 1 written on them. Then he returned to face everyone while holding them in each hand and spoke. We, the Burton family, have witnessed a rocket rise thanks to the presence of talismans, but we have not and will not forget that we are part of this ancient kingdom and that all the inhabitants of the kingdom consider our family and friends. And for this, we decided not to skimp on the people of this kingdom when we had something to share. The knots of the eyebrows of the present grew more, and they began to look at each other. This is an auction for sale and not a charity. What is wrong with this strange speech? Robin then continued. In my left hand is a single-use thought-conveying scroll. It contains the first stage of minor, heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze. With this scroll, the technique will be mentally transmitted to only one person, after which the scroll will be damaged and never to be used again. This scroll will be sold at a fixed price of 50,000 gold coins per one. In my right hand is a multi-use thought-conveying tablet, containing the first stage of minor heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze. It can transmit the technique to more than 500 people before the seals in it are damaged. It will be sold at a fixed price of 500,000 gold coins per one. WH. What? I can buy it for myself with only 50,000 gold coins. I can buy this technique for all my family members for 500,000 gold coins. Is that real? Long live the Burton family. Long live the Burton family. Merchants, heads of small families, and even low-ranking nobles started cheering. Some of them even started crying. Just at this moment, the guests understood Robin's speech. Many average families have a deep enough foundation to have accumulated such an amount of gold over the years. The Burtons in the past, for example, had a standard net revenue of only about 100k gold coins per year, but their treasury overall absolutely had far more than that. Maybe not every mortal family or gang will be able to purchase it, but there is a good number that will. At least everyone that came today will. The Burton family simply wants to strengthen the whole kingdom with a price like this. As for the people in the VIP rooms, they did not look pleased at all. You Burtons, do you realize the consequences of what you are trying to do here? Asked one of the guests. Don't worry yourself, Marquis Beethoff. We do nothing but raise the average strength of the people of the kingdom. Robin looked at that room with a smile. The recent successes we have seen in the expansion of our lands call for more strength to maintain. Don't you agree? Long live the Burton family. Long live young Robin. Everyone's enthusiasm in the standard seats increased and almost reached the point of suffocation. Their dreams, their ancestors' dreams, they are finally coming true. But the confusion of the VIP guests increased, and they even began to look at each other from the open balcony. If all the wealthy mortal families and gangs, etc., had access to such a strong heavenly law technique, then their absolute dominance over the lands of the kingdom will be greatly damaged. These mortals are going to have knights stronger than their own. Then what? They will have to use saints to control the streets from now on. They have nothing left to say but to buy one of the tablets for now, and then they contact the royal family to see what the hell is going on. Young man, Robin, what about that other scroll? And that tablet? On the carriage. An ancient's voice came from one of the VIP rooms. No one saw the speaker, and no one tried to mock the voice that seemed to be on the edge of death. Even with the corpse-like voice that sounded like the Grim Reaper himself, Every word came out powerful enough to silence every other voice in the hall. Good eye, Senior. Indeed, the Burton family surprises for our dear guests today does not end yet. Robin wanted to course at that old man, but to hold himself back. He wanted to enjoy seeing people celebrate the first stage of Blaze for a while longer. Chapter 207 Ancestor Noah. Robin returned to the golden carriage and left the scroll and the tablet in his hand on it, then took the other two and turned around to face the guests again with a proud smile. As you all know, heavenly laws have stages. The first stage is that which helps a cultivator break through up to the 20th level, and then comes the second stage which brings its user into the realm of sainthood. We, the Burton family, have decided to sell the first law cultivation technique in history. So how can we sell it incomplete? Everyone held their breath. Most already guessed what Robin was going to say, but they simply couldn't believe it. The single-use thoughts conveying scroll and the multi-use thoughts conveying metal tablet in my hand both contain the second stage of minor, heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze. Robin announced. Buzz. As if a wire in everyone's heads was suddenly cut off. Announcing the sale of the first stage of this overpowered technique was one thing, and it was already an event that will be recorded in the history of this planet. But now, the second level of a technique equal in strength to that of the royal families is being sold. Selling the method of making saints who are equal in strength to the saints of the royal family. When did this law appear exactly? When did its creator have enough time to make the second stage out of it? Since it's easy to make the second stage of a law cultivation technique. Even the Grand Duke's families are still prisoners of the second stage of their laws for thousands of years, with none of them able to make the third stage of their techniques until now, and all of their techniques are far weaker than this one. Finally, someone in the VIP rooms broke the heavy silence and spoke. Mr. Robin, who is the genius who made this technique? Everyone remembered that the name of the creator is already written on the techniques. Burton. Who is this Burton? I've never heard of that name before. Since when did the Burton family have someone who could produce a technique like this? Do the historical records mention that the Burton family had someone with that name? Perhaps the name means unknown? Robin raised his hands in a calm gesture, then spoke. The Blaze Minor Heavenly Law technique is undoubtedly the production of someone who goes by the name Burton. He's just a little shy and says it's not yet time to fully announce his identity. So temporarily, you can identify his first name as Anonymous or X. X. Does Sir X have anything to do with the runes? Someone muttered in a low voice, but everyone in the hall heard it. The Burton family has a complete monopoly over the runes and all their applications. If only one of them had discovered this stuff, then that makes perfect sense. A few high-class nobles at the VIP rooms began to look at each other with shock and suspicion. Some even began to use the thoughts-conveying technique to talk about this huge information. What is this Burton guy? Is he really some strong ancient figure? Is he one of the current weak generation that has a special talent? If he really is strong, then why didn't he announce his name right from the start? And if he is weak, why would he bring such unwanted attention to the upper class of the Burton family members? They all returned to look at Robin to take from him a denial or affirmation, but he only shrugged his shoulders. Forget about it. If that genius wants to stay unknown for now, then we must respect that. How much will the second stage sell for, Mr. Robin? Asked one of the heads of the small noble families respectfully, his heart beating fast with excitement. Robin shook his head. The first class will be permanently sold at the sale points inside Jura City. Any one of you who can collect the required amount of gold can come at any time and buy one. But that does not go for the second stage. The second stage, either a single-use scroll or a multi-use tablet, will be sold here in public auctions whenever one of them is available. One may appear every month or it may appear every few years. For example, today, I only have 3 scrolls and 3 tablets. Who amongst you will win one of them? This will be left to fate. When Sage Albert gave Robin the authority to sell a heavenly law technique, he didn't tell him to sell only the first stage, but there is no doubt he meant the first stage. Robin took advantage of this loophole in the agreement to get the second stage in the equation as well to increase his profit and heritage, but this will undoubtedly anger the royal family, especially since the technique is so powerful. Therefore, he has no choice but to sell it on a limited basis every once in a while, and to certain people in the upper class of society, so as not to turn all the scales upside down. Robin would have wished he could sell the second stage of his technique as easily and at reduced prices as well, but this would have provoked the royal family to a completely different level, perhaps issuing an immediate ban on the sales, or even gaining their enmity. So he decided to use it as a way to gain fast money for now. After all, prevention is better than cure. The heads of the small families sighed and took their places, knowing that a great opportunity missed them. They could have leaped towards the sky with a single step. But quickly the smiles returned to their faces when they remembered the strength of the first stage and that they will finally have strong knights in the near future. With the first class with them, they will undoubtedly be able to raise enough money for the second stage in the coming years. Maybe 50 years. 100. No problem. They have already waited hundreds or maybe thousands of years to have such an opportunity, so what if they waited a little longer? Finally, the smile returned to the high-class nobles after Robin's announcement. At least they will still have an edge over the rest. This way, not too much has changed. And one of them suddenly shouted, "I bid for the multi-use tablet with 5 million gold coins. 5.1 million gold coins. 5.3 million gold coins. Call me." That boy, Philip. The seated old man ignored the auctions and spoke in a low voice to one of the guards next to him. One of the men behind him nodded and took out a multi-use sound ring, passed his energy, and spoke in a loud voice. "Your Excellency King Philip Marley, I apologize for disturbing you. Ancestor Noah wants to speak with your majesty." After about half a minute the ring was lit, so the man nodded and put the ring in the old man's hand, who also put his energy into it, and spoke in a hoarse voice. "Philip, I was passing by your kingdom for some sightseeing. I came to the home of the runes to widen my horizons. Here I found auction on the second stage of some minor law technique. I want your permission to buy it." A voice echoed in his ear after a few seconds. "What do you say, Ancestor Noah? Our kingdoms have been in alliance for so long. How can I mind you buying a mere second stage of technique? You don't even have to buy it. Relax, and I'll contact the Burtons to get you one, and I'll send it to you in Garia." "No need. I will buy it from them. At a high price too, to make up for the loss of the Black Sun." The old man spoke, her eyes almost closed, then gave a slight wave to the person next to him, who in turn came up to the balcony of the room and shouted a number that made everyone shut up: 20 million gold coins. The old man ignored what was happening next below as if he was already one of the 3 tablets, then went back to pumping his energy into the ring and spoke. "Philip, I saw an interesting boy here. His name is Robin Burton. What do you know about his bone age?" Chapter 208 Golden Night. It was a record-breaking night. The highest price for a single item in any auction hall in history equals the second stage of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze at 20 million gold coins. This number is simply mythical. The former Burton family would have taken about 150 years to collect such an amount of gold in their treasury. This kind of money will not come out of the treasury of any family at once unless it is for a very strong reason, such as preparing an army for a war to determine its future, or if the treasury has been looted. Certainly not to buy something from an auction. The highest total profit for an auction session in history, plus 45 million gold coins. The first auction on a multi-use tablet of the second stage of Blaze ended immediately with 20 million gold coins. The next auction was won by someone for 8.7 million gold coins, and the third auction was even more intense because it was the last and ended with a price of 13.1 million gold coins. This in addition to the rest of the hall's sales of the talisman, weapons, and single-use scrolls for the second stage of the Blaze as well. The total easily broke the 45 million gold coins mark. This is without calculating the sales of the first stage of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze. After Robin announced the end of the auction, all guests rushed outside, heading towards the fixed selling points in the city, intending to buy the first stage of the law. This alone achieved additional sales of 40 million gold coins. More than 80 million gold coins were earned in one day. The number almost broke the minds of the elders and officials of the Burton family. Were it not for the new treasury facility that was recently built, they would not have found a sufficient place to put all these quantities of gold in it. The entire administrative area was shining in golden color from the many chariots loaded with gold that entered every minute. Even the elders who were outraged by the decision to withhold Robin's $25 million in profits previously simply forgot about it now, realizing that Billy had a future viewpoint that went beyond their own. Even after deducting the part Robin wants, they will still have more than 55 million gold coins. This will be enough for them to live in prosperity for dozens of years, even if they never work one night in their lives again. On the evening of the same day, inside Robin's palace. Your Highness Albert, I trust you have been fine since the last time I contacted you. Robin put his spiritual sense into his ring and sent. After a few seconds, the reply came. Haha. Welcome to the new rich man in the kingdom. I heard that you cleaned the kingdom of all its gold today. Me? I wouldn't dare call myself rich in the presence of the royal family. What I have is nothing but a needle in an ocean in comparison to what you have, my highness. A smile appeared on Robin's face, eyes closed. TSK Tisk, if the Burton family hasn't already amassed a quarter of the royal family's total wealth, you're not too far away. I can't believe what's going on. In one day you collected what our ancestors reaped over hundreds of years from wars and taxes. Haha. The world is changing, Your Highness. All I care about is that you are not angry at today's events. Robin replied curtly. Angry? I was the one who told you to sell from the beginning, so how can I be jealous now? Haha. The only thing that bothered me a little is that second stage of your technique. That wasn't fine at all. Haha. It's just a second stage of minor law. Your Highness, how many of those are inside the kingdom anyway? I only thought we might collect the highest amount of gold possible in this way. Was I wrong? What a just a second stage of minor law you got there. We both know how strong that technique is and how you messed up the knights and saints of the royal family with it. The sage replied with a sneer. Did I? Well, in the end, it's nothing but a second stage, right? As long as the royal family got you and His Majesty, then you will never be messed up, Robin said with a little anxiety. Stop your nonsense, kid. Just make the future sales of the second stage more distant. Maybe in a few years, or in a few tens of years. Only when you need gold, got it? Yes, sir. Any more instructions of this 160-year-old kid? Yes. The sage ignored Robin's sarcasm and continued. Don't you dare sell the third stage of this law, or any other. Are we clear? Yes, of course. I can't make them anyway. And if I manage to make one in the future, it will only go to Your Highness. Good. Don't forget to send taxes on all those profits, by the way. Of course, how could I forget? Let's wait until all sales have settled, and we'll send you taxes. I think they'll be in the millions. Not so bad for you, huh? Haha. I will also send the whole blaze technique as a small gift to Your Highness. Good. Albert nodded and then continued. Then? Why do you want to communicate with me? Don't say you're talking to me just to see my attitude on today's events. You don't really care about my anger, otherwise you wouldn't talk to me about it after you did it, you little brat. Ha. Of course, I care about the opinion of the sage. How could I not? But there is actually something else I wanted to talk to you about. Robin paused for a few seconds and then continued. A procession of 50 chariots carrying 25 million gold coins will be leaving Jura in a little while towards the capital. With that, I end my part of the deal. I want Your Highness to send me everything that you have collected during the past months, and to please send me everything that you reach constantly. I need those resources that I requested from you in a current project, and everything you send I will use, so I hope you are not too late. It's good that you told me. I will send a few saints to meet the caravan and add layers of protection to it. And I have no problem with your request. Within 10 days you will find all that I collected in front of your palace, and then I will send you small caravans every 2 weeks until all the items are finished. Is there another thing? No, that's it. I know Your Highness's time is precious, and I won't waste it anymore. I ask you to hang up, Your Highness. After a few more pleasantries, the connection between Robin and the sage ended, and with it all the anxiety and smiles on Robin's face. He just found himself sitting alone in the dark, not knowing what he was feeling. Chapter 209 Vacation. The sage told him that the resources would arrive in 10 days, which means that during the next 10 days he would be completely free. There is no more pressing matter to do in this world anymore. No wars, no conflicts, nothing. He destroyed every obstacle in his way, and he destroyed everyone that might have been an obstacle in his way. And the family's future was secured with all those resources and knights. There is simply nothing left to care about. As someone who had come out of crushing mental exhaustion due to successive wars, and then entered into long retreats to discover and write the Blaze heavenly law cultivation technique without a single day of rest, Robin felt he desperately needed vacation during those 10 days. But what does he do with them? Maybe spend them with his 4 adopted kids? Caesar is now in pain in his home due to injuries from the foundation modification technique. Although the time between each session has become only 23 days and is decreasing each time, this did not mean that the pain of the damage has become any less. It only indicates that Robin became more urgent and Caesar is okay with it. No, he can't spend his vacation with Caesar. Peon is now busy looking for the rest of his family and rehabilitating them psychologically and physically so that they can return to what they were before the enslavement. He definitely will not leave something of this importance to take a vacation with his bored adopted father. Theo, still in the eastern lands, the former lands of the Duchy of Harris, has become the supreme commander of the 3 special legions, and he has to stay there to fill the void left by Caesar. And Peon, he too is very busy for a vacation. Zara spends a large amount of her energy and time treating Caesar, the rest on training and leveling up quickly as Robin ordered, and trying to discover more applications of the major heavenly law cultivation technique of life. The healing ability is a nice side branch to the overall picture. Life is much more than just that. So she is arguably busy even more than her 3 brothers. Maybe he enjoys the company of people his age for once? No. Even his only friend Billy has become a stranger to him since his return. All those years have changed a lot in both of them. It's only the old knowledge that facilitates their interactions that makes Robin communicate with him more than the rest of the saints in the family. Maybe Mill. Sigh. Only now, Robin realizes how lonely he really is. Everything is going as I planned. My 4 kids will make sure my name is immortalized, whether runes or major laws or even the minor ones. I have already changed the face of this planet, and the name of Robin Burton will live forever when my achievements are announced. Even if I die today and the Burton family fails to take over the continent, even if they lose what I left for them, people will still say that once upon a time there was a true genius who walked this earth, and his name was Robin Burton. This is what drove me when I left the family when I was a teenager. This is what I aspired to when I entered that cave and threw everything I once knew behind my back. I am already a legend. But will anyone grieve for me after I die? A wave of depression started creeping into Robin's heart and hit him like a hammer without warning. But he quickly shook his head and slapped his face, then stood up and headed towards the palace door. Who needs someone to spend time with? I lived alone for almost 100 years, and I can survive a few days doing nothing. He walked out directly from the door of the palace with a clenched face without greeting the bent guards as usual. But this time he did not move towards Uncle Tim's restaurant or one of the gardens in the inner area. This time he walked towards the best brothel in Jura. This was the first time he even thought about going somewhere like that since he found Caesar in the Outer Beast region that day. For about 5 hours, Robin spent his time in the bar drinking all its wine and enjoying the women dancing and the whores swaying around him. But his emotionless face never left him for a moment. This wasn't as fun as he remembered. Even with the wine, his mind was still clear as ever no matter how much he drank. Added to that, this time he could see the truth around him. All the guests are losers who wanted to escape from something in their lives, and all the swaying, laughing women want nothing but what is in their pockets. Neither of them cares about the other. If a chance arose, then those women would kill every man here to take whatever they have before they defile their bodies for a few silver coins. And surely the same goes for the guests. After seeing that drinking and mixing with those scum wouldn't help him, he chose one of the girls and went to a side room to get it over with. Maybe having sex after all these years would make him feel better. But after only 10 minutes inside the locked room, Robin opened the door and came out with his face darker than ever, leaving behind a bewildered naked woman and a few gold coins next to her. After Robin left the brothel, he did not go right or left again, but went straight back to his palace and then to his underground room, then sat in the middle of it in a meditative position and began his preparations to break through to the next level in the knighthood. The vacation dream was over before it even began. Chapter 210, Level 15. Robin didn't leave that room over the following days. He didn't even move a single step from his original spot, enduring hunger while putting himself in complete focus to raise his cultivation level. He just wanted to flood out the feeling of depression by thinking about something else. This is not the first time he has encountered something like this. During his long life in the cave, he thought of suicide a few times due to similar waves of depression, but each time he was saved by thinking of the greatness he would achieve when he discovered the law of truth. But now, what is there to stop him? Maybe discovering other laws and runes and achieving more glory? Robin shook his head every time it came to this, though didn't want to think in that direction anymore. He definitely didn't lack ambition, nor did he stop making plans for himself and for the expansions of his family that will protect his legacy long after his death. Maybe he lacks the needed scarecrow to make him hurry forward in his plans, but he still has a lot to do, and he definitely isn't giving up. And there is also the Nahari planet journey, which he visibly feared, but deep inside he was aching to go. Seeing new creatures, hearing new stories, maybe discovering new laws that aren't here? What is better for a researcher? The depression this time certainly has nothing to do with the sense of failure or lack of direction. It's just there. So he just took a few soul-revitalizing pills, ignoring the time around him, putting all his focus on forming the law foundations in his body. And after just 13 days of total concentration, he jumped from level 13 to level 15 in one session. As for the next 2 days, he fainted due to extreme exhaustion. Good morning, Mayam. On the 15th day of his seclusion, Robin rose from his sleep and looked beside him at the usual naked body with a smile. But suddenly he remembered something and fell into a long silence. After a few minutes, he shook his head with half a smile, then took lazy steps, took a shower, and found something to eat, and then came out of his room at a heavy pace after about 2 hours. The hell is this? Robin snapped as he reached his front yard. There was no green to be seen anymore. Just piles upon piles of minerals and a few small mountains of energy stones. Robin quickly moved toward one of the guards and grabbed his shoulder. When did all this arrive? How long have I been inside the palace? Oh, Your Excellency, you are finally done? The guard quickly bowed. Your Excellency, you were in seclusion for 15 days. These items arrived in your name from the royal family 6 days ago, and they refused to put it anywhere other than your front yard, so Uncle Billy had to let them do so. Robin left the guard and began checking everything in the front yard for over half an hour, then muttered to himself, "That is about 60% of the items I ordered. I never thought that they had collected all this within such a short period of time. Perhaps I should raise the ceiling of my expectations of the Black Sun royal family in my next conditions. I let them off too easily by paying those 25 million gold coins." Then he looked at the guards and shouted, "Get someone to move all this to the metal warehouse next to my palace. Everything has to be moved before the end of the day." "Yes, Your Excellency." Since that day, Robin has put his full focus on creating the space portal, and he was not alone. According to the designs passed on to him by the all-seeing God, the gate is a hollow semicircle with a diameter of 15 meters, made entirely of rare, strong metals. So 20 knights from the Fire Legion were assigned to stay with Robin and fully assist him. First, because it would take large amounts of flame to construct a metal structure of this size, and also because he was sure they would keep everything they saw a secret. And indeed, he has already used them to the greatest possible degree, in smelting and welding metals, or sending them on external missions such as getting the toughest of the metals to Jura factories, or searching for the more available resources. None of them were spared. The huge warehouse, which has been quiet since its construction, has become a noisy factory due to the large number of movements and noise emanating from it daily. Everyone became obsessed with what was happening inside, but no one dared to approach. After another 2 months, the royal family has sent all the agreed-upon resources without any deficiency. It was unknown if the Black Sun royal family was really this awesome, or it is that Sage Albert exaggerated how hard it is to gather everything. Either way, now there is nothing left but to complete the construction of the space portal. As for the huge hollow semicircle, it is almost completed. It was not that difficult actually. Robin and his knights could have built a similar structure with those same minerals in less than 2 weeks. It is just that the designs were simply too precise, and that is what took them so long. Robin had to walk very carefully in making the portal, and do everything according to the designs with utmost precision, or else a problem might occur during his move, and he could find himself floating beside a sun. He kicked the knights out of the warehouse more than once and summoned the all-seeing God to follow up on what he had achieved so far and bring out the defects for him to work on fixing them. So what he got so far was already accurate to the point of perfection. After another month, the construction of the portal solid structure was completed. Robin stood in front of it, both his hands on his waist, and started to look at his hand, making with a proud smile. The portal was simply enormous in size. He still didn't understand why the all-seeing God would give him the designs to make a portal of this size, if only he was going to use it. As a kind of celebration, Robin took the 20 knights and resolved to eat out that day. After they finished, an idea came to his head. Instead of going back to the administrative area, he changed his way and took them to the best brothel in the city and announced that he would pay all the party expenses in the brothel as well. It was a wild night. After a few hours of celebration, each knight took a girl to one of the rooms and left behind Robin with the most beautiful and alluring woman of them all. But yet again, after a quarter of an hour, he left the room, lowering his head like a defeated dog, and walked alone out of the brothel, leaving his knights behind enjoying themselves. To prevent himself from thinking too much again, he headed straight to the warehouse to finish his work. On the same day, Robin began mixing the rest of the non-metallic resources to make inks for the next part of the space portal construction, encasing this massive structure with runes related to the space path. The all-seeing God simplified the runes as much as possible and reduced them to the lowest possible degree so that Robin could draw them. He even devised a way for Robin to draw these higher-level runes. But even with that, they were very complex and strange to him. Whether it's the new path, the rune level, or the usage of those runes, everything was new to him. He tried a few times to comprehend the path of space from the runes, but soon found that impossible. It was like a newborn trying to study the easiest ways to break through to sagehood. Therefore, he contented himself with transcribing the manuscripts according to the instructions set by the all-seeing God, and he contented himself with memorizing all the space path runes in his head. Maybe they would become handy in the future. And quickly another 2 months have passed. Chapter 2, 11 Little Things. Over there. The humanoid light pointed toward one of the runes on the gate. Its figure should be a bit narrower. And, over there. Redraw that rune again from scratch, there are too many mistakes on it. And, as usual, after almost every week of work, Robin summoned the all-seeing God to see the developments up to the moment and point out the mistakes, so that he could move to the next step steadily, and everything he did is in perfect condition. And today was one of those days. All right. Yes, I agree with this one. I also see that, yes. Robin kept nodding his head, going through everything that the all-seeing God pointed at and burning it in his memory. After about 2 minutes of nodding and pointing around, the all-seeing God looked at Robin with the side of his eyes and pointed at him. And there too, something is a bit off. Robin tilted his head and looked toward his own chest, then looked toward the humanoid light in surprise. Huh? What are you talking about? What is this negative atmosphere around you? Are you all right? The humanoid light turned its body to face Robin and spoke seriously. Me? Of course I'm fine. What else can I be? I'm Fiyin. Robin hit his chest and declared. The humanoid light looked at him for a long time and said, Boy, I was not named the all-seeing God out of the blue. If I say I see something off about you, then I know what I'm saying. Everything we do will be useless if you are not at your best. I'm sending you on a precise mission, and I expect only success. If you go distracted and looking for death, then you better not go at all. I'll repeat the question. Are you all right? I don't know. Robin found himself a chair and put his chin on his hands, then added, I have spent most of my life in complete solitude with no problems. Even after returning to the Burton family, I have spent most of my time here in seclusion too, to create something or to find solutions or cultivating. I don't know why being alone suddenly became too heavy for me to bear. I see. Solitude is the way of the great, whether for cultivating, scheming, or creating. You will never find a social genius who sits with this, drinks wine with that, or finds himself some useless blood-sucking friends. You clearly understand this very well, and it is also clear that you have no problem with the life of solitude since you spent most of your short life in it. And I see that you know your direction very well, and you want to keep pressing forward, or you wouldn't be here now doing your work even with the high level of depression you are having. The trick, my little friend, is how to vent your human needs after those long periods of stressful hard work. I'm talking about those little things that bring a smile to the lips every now and then to keep you moving forward. There are those who find satisfaction in seeing bloodshed and initiating massacres, and there are those who have their satisfaction in protecting the innocent and hearing the words of thanks, and there are those who seek it in women and make up a large harem to spend some time with, and there are many other examples. The question is, which of those are you? I don't know. I have no difference in the matter of blood. Whether I see it or not doesn't matter, and I do not care about the subject of protecting the weak also. I used to do it a lot during my early years in the cave, but it was just a stupid burden and I stopped. Rescuing one of them is like rescuing 1,000. They keep popping up. In fact, with my current strength, I think I need the protection of my kids nevertheless than going around saving some strangers. And for women, this can be difficult. Robin scratched his head. Difficult? Why would it be difficult? The all-seeing God asked, surprised. Sigh, it's not like you are going to tell anyone. Well, I have been to a brothel twice lately and tried to do it with 2 different women. Both are gorgeous and expensive. But he didn't respond. Robin lowered his head. Oh, the all-seeing God seemed to understand something. Ahem, it's okay. Do not let your preferences defy you. You can make a harem of men you know, who can mock you as long as you have the strength to shut them up. Rise up and announce your preferences bravely, and what are you on about? Oh, where the FCK did your mind go? I love women. Robin quickly shouted, sat down again, and continued. I used to visit bars and brothels frequently in my younger years. I'm sure I liked women, but when I tried once again, I found it disgusting. I couldn't force myself to do it. The ones you buy with your money can satisfy you physically, but not psychologically. Whores lose any advantage when a loved one comes. Nod light structure. A loved one? What are you talking about? Robin was surprised, but a certain image clearly appeared in his head. There are 2 possibilities for those brothel incidents, and there is no third of them. Either your preferences changed and you should try your luck with men, or you are constantly thinking about another woman and can't stand being intimate with someone else. And believe me, I also hope with all my heart that it will be the second option. A complicated look appeared on Robin's face. Then he turned his face to the left and drowned in his thoughts. Theo, it seems that the second option is correct then. The all-seeing God said with relief. Where is she? Why don't you go to her directly, and instead try to replace her with horse? Is she dead? Robin was silent for a few seconds, and then spoke. She is fine. She left me because I don't care about her. Ha 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 ha, women, huh? They are all like that. I also got into a similar situation with my wife number 109. Had those old days. The all-seeing God burst into laughter. Robin ignored the light humanoid's laughter and furrowed an eyebrow, now just facing reality. There's no doubt that she really pops up a lot in his head. Even behind the closed rooms in those brothels, he was comparing the bodies of the women in front of him to Mila's and their beauty to hers. But he thought it was a normal thing since she is the most beautiful woman he saw. But to the point that he can no longer have sex with any other woman? He had never expected that her absence would affect him to such a degree. As he seeks to immortalize his name forever, he will travel to another planet to put an entire race under his control. But he was depressed because of a woman? Chapter 2, 12 Son-in-Law. Robin sank in thought for a few minutes, his eyebrows furrowed and his head between his palms. Are the words of the all-seeing God true? Do I really love Mila? There is no doubt that he had more feelings for her than ordinary women, and these feelings deepened more and more during the years she spent in Jura. But love? This didn't cross Robin's mind for a moment, his idea of himself being a practical person with only his goal in mind. Falling in love with a woman was definitely not one of his goals. The humanoid light kept staring at Robin from the side the whole time, and at last he spoke. Well, looks like this will take a while. You continue your little existential thinking here. I'm out. Wait, even if I wanted to get that girl back, could I? In a few months, I'm going on a mission where I'll spend decades and probably will never come back. Should I just forget about it? Should I tell her nothing and just disappear when the time comes? What should I do? Robin quickly stood up and asked. The humanoid light looked deeply into Robin's troubled eyes. Deep down, he could see Robin was almost begging for something. He certainly didn't look like he was asking sincerely, but wanted to confirm an answer he desperately longed to hear. The all-seeing God sighed. Since when this exalted one became the all-romance God? Forget it. Listen here, brat. As long as you have these feelings for her, go tell her your circumstances and let her decide for herself. At least if she rejects you, you will gradually be able to forget her, because she is the one who decided to stay away from you. And the feeling of regret that fills you will cease to exist as well. I am sure you will have no problem sleeping with whores again if you probably cut ties with her. Feeling regret? Robin looked at the ground for a few seconds and then faced the Temple of Light again. Can I bring her with me to Nahari? She's strong and she can protect me until I get stronger. I have enough gold to buy more energy stones to move 1 or 2 more individuals with me. Is she beautiful? The all-seeing God asked with a serious face. Of course. She is the most beautiful girl in the kingdom, maybe in the entire continent, Robin said with a bit of pride. Then no. The all-seeing God gave a decisive response. What the? Robin was surprised by the response. The Nahari giants are very lustful creatures. If they see a girl as beautiful and petite like her, they will rape her. My words are not talking about the worst of case scenarios. It is simply what will happen. Her strength will do you both no good there. Nahari giants. What do you mean by petite? She is almost as tall as me. The amount of information in that sentence closed Robin's brain. You two are petite compared to what you will face there. You will know everything when you arrive there. Don't take women and don't take anyone to protect you because they will need protection. This job requires adaptability, intelligence, and even the ability to take humiliation while keeping your head down. If you really want, you can take someone with you, then pick the one you wouldn't be afraid to sacrifice when the time comes. Bye for now. The all-seeing God said his last sentence and didn't wait for another reply. His body dissipated and hurriedly entered Robin's head. Robin sat for a few minutes trying to flip what had just happened in his head, then suddenly stood up and headed toward his palace with a decisive look in his eyes. It was clear that he had made up his mind. After another 10 days, Robin came out of the palace and told one of the guards, "Get me the fastest possible transportation to travel to Bradley Pearl City." Robin was already following Mila's news whenever the opportunity arose, asking Billy or one of the Fire Legion about her whereabouts or her condition, and Billy even assigned part of the intelligence team to closely follow her movements. And 3 months ago, Mila returned with her father to Bradley's Pearl City. The situation was already settled in their new lands, and the abundance of saints in the family afforded the patriarch and his daughter the luxury of returning to the capital and living the good life they are used to, and also for Galen to supervise all his lands from his capital. It's time to meet Milo again. After 5 days, outside Bradley's Pearl City. Ha ha, my dear son-in-law. I couldn't believe it when I was told that you were spotted near the city. Why didn't you give us advance warning to receive you better? Galen opened his arms in front of the gate and laughed out loud. Robin jumped out of his carriage that was dragged by multiple war horses, furrowed his eyebrows, and muttered, "Son-in-law." "What? You don't want to be called that?" Galen asked, surprised. No, it's good. How are you, my father-in-law?" Robin put a smile on his face and walked over to Galen, extending his hand to shake his. Arg, but Galen opened his arms and hugged him so tight that he almost broke his ribs, before finally leaving him and asking with a laugh, "Why are you here? A new business deal? Or are you visiting your fiancée whom you forgot?" Robin didn't reply directly, but just made sure all his bones were in the right place, before adding, "Who could forget Mila? I have just been a bit busy lately, and I'm here now to visit her. Where's she? Why didn't she come with you? Is she mad at me?" "Ha ha ha, good. I heard about you arriving just now and came right away. She probably doesn't know yet. She must be in her mansion now. She has only been out once or twice since we got back to the city, and this was to fetch raw resources to make the oath tablets I asked her for. Oh, thanks for letting her do that, by the way." "No problem at all. We're family, aren't we?" "Ha ha ha, of course." Galen advanced and patted Robin's shoulders with enough strength to maintain a low-level knight, then continued, "Come, let us catch up at my office. I think we have quite a few things to talk about." "No problem, but not now. I need to go to Mila now," Robin said with a voice that appeared like crying. Galen nodded. "That will do too," then looked beside him. "Brown, take Robin up into that girl's mansion and make sure she knows he is there. Of course, of course. St. Brown Bradley took a few steps. Come with me, Your Excellency. Haha. No need for this, Uncle Brown. If it wasn't for your testimony that day, I probably wouldn't be here today. Just call me Robin. Let's go. 2 hours later inside Mila's mansion. I couldn't believe it when they told me that His Excellency Robin had come to visit this little girl. To whom do I owe the pleasure of this visit? Mila entered the reception room and spoke softly. Only Robin was in the room. Robin quickly turned toward the source of the voice, and his eyes roamed her body slowly. Really? You let me wait 2 hours for this? Mila just looked amazing. Jewelry, makeup, and luxury clothes. Nothing revealing this time. Just pure beauty and class. As if she was preparing for a party that only the kings of the world would attend. This is the first time he has seen Mila in all her elegance. She simply looked like a drawing of a fairy who came out of a painting. What? Don't you like how I look? Mila spun around herself and laughed. How can I not like it? It's just that I never thought you can become even more beautiful. Mila stopped turning and looked at Robin with a cheerful smile. Oh. Ice boards can say nice words like everyone else. Hee hee, if you don't make the ice board speak, who can? Robin laughed low and then pointed to a chair next to him. Have a seat, please. We have a long talk to finish today. Chapter 2:13 Heart Talk. Here I sat now. What is that long talk Your Excellency wants to start with this stupid little girl? Mila sat right in front of Robin with a big alluring smile on her face. Robin couldn't hold back his laughter after hearing Your Excellency again and again from her, so he gave a low chuckle and then said, before anything, why is your father still calling me my son-in-law? And that reception's outside the city. I was afraid to announce my coming so that he wouldn't close the gates. You didn't tell him we broke up? Mila smiled. A decision like this would surely have caused a stir in the relations of the two families, and my father might get angry and consider it an insult to me and to the Bradleys. Who knows? He might have completely severed the relations between the two families. Oh, do you want to keep your family's good relationship with me so bad? Why did you leave then? Robin was puzzled. Something like that can't be hidden too long anyway. I don't care, you idiot. I wanted to see if you'd come to see me if everything remained the same. An apology wouldn't have made me feel any better if you had come because of problems between the two families. I told them at first that I had come to help them establish the family in the new lands, and then said that you were too busy and that I would spend a few months here until you were done with your seclusions. I was making all kinds of excuses so that no one would think we broke up. Just for today? Well, you came on your own and without pressure. Whatever you want from me now will be your real decision. So, what do you want to say? Robin was shocked by the response and smiled spontaneously afterward. The topic he came for hadn't been opened yet he smiled happily today, already more than in the past 9 months combined. Although in theory he no longer needs the Bradley family for anything, it is a huge, ancient family who has an extremely long border with him and has the ways of making fire explosion talismans and darkness talismans. Under no circumstances would Robin turn the situation with them into hostility unless there is absolutely no other way out. If Galen became angry about the breakup of the engagement, Robin would have tried to make up for it out of guilt because he was on the wrong side. Mila apparently expected this and did not want to see this version of Robin. Mila. Robin leaned his back forward and spoke, but quickly fell into silence before trying again. I will, after 2 months I will have to. Sigh. Mila turned back to look at him. What's wrong with you, Stammer? Are an apology and a little promise that hard? If only it were that simple. Robin leaned back to rest his head on the chair and started rubbing his forehead. You are starting to worry me, Robin. Why are you here today? Speak. Even if we're not together anymore, even without the oath I took, I would never reveal your secrets. Mila furrowed her eyebrows and asked seriously. The point is, the all-seeing God said, no, you wouldn't know who that is. 2 weeks ago that wouldn't work either. Robin tried to start the conversation more than once, but he stopped each time. After a few minutes he resolved and looked at Mila directly. Any single part of what I want to say to you will not be understandable on its own. For you to understand what I will ask of you later, you must know all about my journey from the very beginning until I came to this seat. Listen carefully. When I was 14, I got tired of everything about my life as the family genius and hope and wanted to cripple myself. But I was afraid that my and my mother's lives would have only gone worse, so I left the Burton family and went to that cave where we met with an impossible goal in my mind, to discover my own minor law. And then I started. But my loneliness drove me even crazier, and my dreams developed as I finally was determined to discover a whole path of my own, the path of truth. And then, Robin went on, trying to remember every little detail and put them in the right sequence for her. Sometimes she put her hand on her lips in panic, and sometimes on her chest in relief. She smiled sweetly when the day of their fated meeting was mentioned, and her chest narrowed when he explained to her his experience in the cave. When the story reached the moment of his death, a few tears fell from her eyes, but soon her eyes and mouth opened wide when he mentioned the appearance of the humanoid light and the time-stopping act. It's been over 2 hours since Robin started telling his story, but Mila felt like a moment has passed, and it was one of the most beautiful moments of her life. The person she loved finally opened his heart to her. Well, that is it. That's everything that has happened to me during the nearly 170 years I have lived on this planet. Robin finished and reached out his hand and grabbed a glass of water in front of him and drank it in one go. It was a long talk, longer than he thought it would be. Planet Nahari. Mila muttered furrowed eyebrows. She let him speak without interruption so as not to lose his train of thought, but she certainly remembered the most important point in her head. Robin smiled, smart. You must be aware of the dangers of this journey. It's a death sentence. Even if a miracle happens and I somehow manage to do it with keeping my head intact, I won't be back for decades. Mila remained silent for a while. She had already realized all this since he explained his plan, but her heart sank when she heard him talk about the possibilities himself. But she got on her nerves and asked, "And why are you telling me all this now?" Mila, I didn't prevent you from leaving me because I knew my future path, a path in which you do not exist. There is no Caesar or the rest of my adopted kids either. It is only me in another world struggling against fate. Previously, I thought it was better to let you go and have you hate me than tell you my fate, but I changed my mind. I didn't want you to think that you were less of a woman than anyone else, or that you were not loved. No, I want you by my side, but fate does not agree. That it. After I leave today, I want you to announce that you broke off the engagement because I am a weird person, and I'll confirm your words so that you preserve your reputation and prestige. The other option is we go and get married for a month or two, and then I leave you to live as a widow for the rest of your life. Huh. Robin spoke slowly, feeling suffocated by every word. The last sentence sounded like sarcasm, but it was Robin's biggest hope, the reason he's here. Everything was put on the table now. All that was left was Mila's reply. He closed his eyes and silently waited for the answer. After about 2 minutes, Mila's voice was finally heard. You bastard. You selfish bastard. Huh. Robin opened his eyes in surprise. You think you and that fate of yours can treat me like I'm a side character? I'm the one who should have made these decisions from the start. I'm the one who should you say if I want to continue with you or not. Mila stood up and kicked Robin in the foot. Ouch. Robin raised his foot on the bench and began rubbing the spot where he had been kicked. Why did you hit me? Damn woman, you broke this beautiful moment of romance and sacrifice. Damn it, we lost about 9 months because of this nonsense. I could have carried your baby during that time. Mila again approached Robin and weakly punched his shoulder. Hi. Robin patted his shoulder, furrowing his eyebrows, but astonishment suddenly appeared on his face. You. What did you just say? Chapter 2:14 Wedding Gifts. Why are you so stupid when you are supposed to be a genius? Even if I'm sure you will die tomorrow, I will still agree to marry you today. Mila put her hand on her chest and announced. Mila, Robin said in a low voice. The statement was very strong but sweet at the same time. It is not like I will sacrifice for love or anything. The person who discovered the heavenly path of truth, the person who turned his family from crumbling into the biggest duchy in the kingdom and probably the richest family in the continent, the person who made a god trust him and demand favor from him. The person I love wouldn't die in a mission like this. I will consider your mission as a long journey to broaden your horizons, but don't make it a chance to be late if you don't absolutely have to. Mila took my step towards him and bent down so that their faces were only a few centimeters apart. Robin couldn't hold himself any longer, so he quickly reached out and grabbed her hair to bring her closer to him, then placed a passionate kiss on her lips. After a few seconds, He finally let go of her with a smile, but Mila looked down and then looked back at him again. Why is your little general so excited? We are not married yet, darling, he. Ha 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 ha. He is just so happy to see you. Let's go. I want to visit your father right now. Robin stopped suddenly and took a few steps towards the door. Maybe you should wait a bit before you get out of here, Mila said shyly, pointing at his lower half. Ooh. Robin quickly sat down again. Do you have tea or coffee here? Haha, you finally decided on the date of the wedding ceremony? Galen stood and laughed out loud. Yes, the wedding will be in the new city of Jura in 3 weeks from now. If you agree, of course, my father-in-law, said Robin. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Galen sat up and rubbed his lips. The time frame is very tight. We need at least 2 months to make a good event and send invitations to a good number of saints and... Father, did you forget that the opening ceremony of the new Jura city and the announcement of the Duchy of Burton will be in 3 weeks? The arrangements are already in place, and all the big families will send envoys that day to bless the Burton family. All we have to do is announce that our wedding will be that day too. Mila interrupted him and said, I totally forgot the date of that Burton family party. Excuse me, little Robin, my head has 1,000 things chasing each other, aha. Julan looked at Robin with a sorry look. Don't mention it. I too forgot about the specific day, and your daughter was the one who chose the date. Robin raised his shoulder. This is one of the benefits of women, huh? Galen laughed out loud. Robin laughed out loud and adjusted his seat. You are absolutely right. They have a remarkable memory for those little things. Once I was. You too, come back to the topic. Mila hit her foot on the ground. Cough, cough. This day would be really perfect, but what about wedding gifts and all those other formalities? I really think we should wait for a little long, Galen spoke in a low and rather shy voice. The last were nearly wiped out the Bradley family treasury. What are you talking about, father-in-law? Robin interjects. You have already delivered your wedding gifts by sending many knights and 5 saints to help us in the time of need. Had it not been for Saint Edward, we would not have revived our family's army so quickly, and had it not been for Mila, the Rune Academy would not have grown and developed so quickly. These are simple favors between any 2 families with a good relation. How is it appropriate as a wedding gift for my eldest daughter to marry your excellency? Haha. No, I have to arrange something good. Galen laughed and shook his head. I will not accept anything else from you. Please close this subject for good. Actually, we are the ones who haven't handed you the wedding gifts yet. And there you go, said Robin emphatically, and then took out 3 metal tablets from his pocket. Galen's eyes started shining the moment Robin those famous metal tablets. In the past, he would break it on the head of its owner, but now he looked like a child who saw the most beautiful toy. What is this? What is this? You know, I recently started selling the minor heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze and heard that the Bradleys hadn't bought it yet, so I brought you this copy of the first and second stages of the technique. Robin put the first tablet on the table in front of Galen. Seeing the tablet showed a big smile from ear to ear on Galen's face. Of course, he wanted this technique. But it was simply out of reach at the moment. He needs almost 9 million gold coins to even think about it, and this is no longer available after the war, and probably won't be available for a very long time, until he starts reaping something from his new lands at least. When he was about to thank Robin, he found that Robin continued, the techniques of the heavenly laws in this world are full of flaws and mistakes, and whoever learns them leaves permanent traces in his foundations that cannot be erased with normal means, and this may cause him to stop his future potential. At this point, he placed one of the tablets on the table in front of Galen. This is a foundation modification technique. Whoever uses it can access the issues in his previous solid cultivation and modify it. What? Galen grabbed the tablet with her hand, almost trembling. Of course, he knew the value of a technique like this. Even those who don't know the right way to cultivate their laws still have some regrets considering their previous cultivation. But the question still hit his head and asked, how do we identify the problems in the previous training? Good question. Robin puts the 3rd tablet on the table. This one contains the perfect technique for the first and second stages of the Fire Shard's minor heavenly law. You can use it as a reference to modify the previous solid cultivation of those who are using this law. Perfect. Technique. Perfect. Galen simply couldn't help himself. Mila looked with the side of her eyes at Robin. You came to give me a farewell speech, but you have already prepared such well-thought wedding gifts. Let us say that I had confidence in my personal charm, ha. Ouch. Robin laughed out loud, but was stopped by a punch in the shoulder. When he looked next to him, he found a big smile on Mila's face. Sigh, you are embarrassing me. Robin. Galen shook his head after about 2 minutes of going through the content of the tablets in his mind and put the 3 tablets on the table before speaking again. If we speak only in the language of gold, these 3 tablets can't be purchased with gold. Not even hundreds of millions of gold coins can buy that modification technique, let alone the rest. You are doing it again, my father-in-law. These are simple things for me that can't even amount in my eyes to be proper gifts to my Mila. If I had time, I would have prepared even better things for her. So please don't take it like that. I just hope that after today, our families will be closer than before. No, it's not enough. Listen, I have 2 other daughters who are younger than Mila. They are not quite as talented, but they are very beautiful too. I can give. Father, Mila stood and cried out loud. What? Don't you want good for your sisters? Galen asked with an innocent face. Maybe I should leave now to prepare for the wedding. Goodbye. Then Robin stood up and quickly left, afraid that he would be there when Mila smashes the room on Galen's head. Chapter 2:15 A Day to Remember. 3 weeks later, Jura City. Swoof. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Mom, look. A little boy eagerly pointed towards the enchanting, colorful explosions in the sky. Wow, what attractive colors. The city is more beautiful than ever. I have never seen a city of this structure and beauty in my life. Maybe it rivals the royal capital. I went to the royal capital once. The capital is a little bigger in size, but Jura is more beautiful and more luxurious. I can't imagine how much money they spend on a project like this. Do you think the Burtons are short on money? Look around. They even spare nothing for today's party. These decorations and musical bands, and the colorful explosions that have reached over 20,000 explosions so far. All of this is surely worth hundreds of thousands of gold coins. Right. Did you see the Fire Legion parade an hour ago? The famous Fire Legion put on a public parade. Oh, damn me. Why didn't anyone tell me? Hustle, hustle. The colorful explosions haven't stopped for a moment since the opening festival started 3 hours ago. The explosions were actually arrows attached to them, a level 6 fire explosion talisman, plus a bag filled with various colored sand that fuses very quickly with the explosion, creating this stunning view. 2 more hours later, at dusk, it was finally time for the official announcement of the Duchy of Burton. A huge number of people gathered in the main square looking toward a high platform on which the Burton family patriarch and 8 other people were seated. With a quick look, all those who have basic knowledge were left stunned. Those 8 were all dukes. Galen Bradley and Raymond Alton came, of course, and the rest of the dukes couldn't refuse the invitation even if they wanted to. After the sale of the minor heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze and the announcement of the name X Burton, the Burton family was simply above a duke family even if they had a shortage of saints. The only one who didn't show up was Donald Everin, for obvious reasons, and everyone knew he would have come if the Burtons had sent him an invitation. Under everyone's gaze, another person appeared on the high stage. When he appeared, all the dukes rose from their places and gave a deep bow. Even the common people who did not know who this person was. Just his arrogance that was rightfully integrated into his bones and his aura that they felt without him trying to show off were enough to subdue everyone. And before anyone realized what was happening, most of them found themselves on their knees. A few seconds later, Brian Burton introduced and exclaimed, "We salute the wise Albert, and we are honored to have him in our small town." Thud. Those who did not kneel, yet followed their fellows and got down on their knees. This was the first time that a sage has appeared in public in hundreds of years. Without further ado, the sage gestured to a few knights to come up the platform, carrying a huge scroll, evidently from the hide of a beast. Then they reached the edge of the platform that faced the crowd and unfolded the scroll. Everyone was more surprised when they saw this huge scroll fully extended. It was tens of meters in all directions, and it was clearly a one piece of beast hide and not sewn. The skin looks very solid and can even withstand the attacks of saints. What kind of beast could reach this size and have such power? That was the only thing going on in everyone's head. But everyone's questions were interrupted by a shout from the Fire Legion that was standing nearby. Long live the Burton Duchy! Long live the Burton Duchy! Only now did most of them realize that this huge scroll contained a symbol resembling the three-clawed paw of a huge beast in the middle, with words like Duchy of Bradley or Duchy of Alton around the huge paw. This was the specific map of the new Duchy of Burton. While everyone was contemplating the absurd size of the Duchy of Burton, they found that the dukes on the square straightened their backs once again. Sage Albert left as he came, without saying a word. Ha ha, today is a happy day. Give out the drinks and food. All our guests, please eat whatever you want. Everything in this city is free today. Ha ha ha, Duke Brian Burton opened his arms and announced, Yees! Long live the Burton family. Long live the dream. Ahem, long live the Burtons. Boom, 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 boom. Colorful explosions came back in action over the city, turning the night into a bright day. How what a day! I don't think the kingdom will witness a similar celebration before at least another 500 years, said one of the dreamy girls while looking at the sky. Huh? The night isn't over yet. There is still Robin Burton and Mila Bradley's wedding. It will start in minutes. Huh? Let's go. After about 3 hours inside the administrative area of the Burton family. I didn't expect you to be at the duchy announced today. You even attended my wedding. Thank you for that, and thank you for the gifts. It's nice, said Robin, leaning against the room door, most of his body covered in shadows. Haha, no need to mention such simple things. The Black Sun doesn't announce a new duchy every day, and it doesn't witness the wedding of two of its best geniuses every night, replied Sage Albert, while looking through the room window, and then looked back at Robin. You look nice and polite, hee. Tisk Mila said I have to wear this crap, or she won't come to the wedding. Robin walked over to a chair, and his features were finally visible, with a shaved beard and mustache, and brushed his hair back, all dressed in white. This was the traditional look for weddings in the kingdom of the Black Sun. Mila is a good girl, and she deserved the legendary wedding she got. It's good that you listened to her words, but you looked poor as hell, kid. I bet she will punish you for that later. Sage Albert nodded with a laughing face, as if to hold himself from laughing as much as possible. Don't even make me remember it. Arg. These things we had to do in the marriage ceremony. It was silly and stupid. I just wanted to get it over with. How are those silly things supposed to get two persons married? Why not just announce that she is my wife? I felt it is like preparing the two for a long life of humiliation. Robin spoke while pouring a drink for himself with an angry face. Don't say that in front of your wife. They love those things, haha. Then continued. Look at the bright side. It's over now. Mila Bradley is a perfect start to your harem. You know who's good too? My great-granddaughter. Forget it. I still have a 160-year-old virgin waiting for me. I still need to see if I can satisfy her first. Robin laughed out loud and shook his head. Chapter 216 Last Session. This is your loss, the sage said with a chuckle, then continued. So, why did you contact me and ask to meet here today? You have a bride waiting for you on your bed. Why do you want to meet with an old man like me right after your wedding? There is no need to hide it. Actually, soon I'll be gone for a long time. I'll definitely be back, but I don't know when. Robin spoke in a low voice. Oh, really? And an expression of surprise appeared on the sage's face, but they quickly disappeared. I remember that you promised me earlier to do one thing for me, whatever it is. And the time has come. Reuben spoke earnestly. I want the royal family to protect the Burton family during my absence from any danger, both internal and external. The sage raised his eyebrows. That's easy. I really don't think your family needs protection. In fact, some families are talking to me about protecting them from you, haha. No one knows what might happen tomorrow. If you think my request is easy, that's better for you, right? Promise me you will do it. The sage didn't reply directly and remained silent for a few minutes. You know the politics of the royal family. We can't go and fight with your family if someone attacks your lands. But I can promise you that no one will touch Juris City in your absence. Is that good enough? Robin's serious face turned into a smile. Good. Very good. The sage nodded and turned to leave, but he stopped abruptly as if he remembered something. By the way, the ancestor of the kingdom of Garia noticed the age of your body and asked for a way to return his body to a young man like you. He said he would offer you half of his fortune if you did this for him. And believe me, when I say that his fortune is massive. What do you think? Robin furrowed his eyebrows and then sighed. Your Highness, if I told you directly that I refuse to help him, will this affect our relationship? Sage Albert shook his head. No, it has nothing to do with us. But Ancestor Noah would not like this response very much. Our transactions with the Kingdom of Garia will surely be affected, especially those involving the Burton family. A big chunk of the resources you requested has come from there after all. As long as it does not affect the relationship between us and you, there is no problem. As for that trade, there are always alternatives to take. But in order not to put you in a bad situation, let me give you an official response. What happened to me was a phenomenal event that I could not repeat, even if I wanted to. Please send my sorry to that Ancestor Noah. Oh, the ancestor of our royal family died 100 years ago, and now I am the oldest person in the royal family, and my age is slowly coming to an end as well. If I asked you to do something similar one day, you would also refuse. Albert narrowed his eyes. Don't say that, Your Highness. You still have a long life ahead of you. Who knows what will happen during those years? Everything is possible with a bit of time. Robin hinted and went quiet. He did not promise him help and did not refuse outright either. It would be stupid if he won the enmity of Albert now on something he will face hundreds of years later. Well, I can live with that answer. Now go get that 160-year-old virgin of yours. Ha ha ha, said the sage and disappeared. Silver ice lotus ink with giant forest worm sap and one broad brush. Robin spoke in a hurry. He was hanged from his waist with a rope to a point on the left side of the portal. Yes, Mila responded and quickly flew to Robin's side. This is how their honeymoon was from the second night after the wedding. After a long night of bed wrestling that ended with Robin raising his ancestor's head again, he came straight to work on the portal, but this time his new wife followed him to be his new assistant as well. And who better than to be an assistant to Robin, other than the head of the Rune Academy? Robin's work became more efficient and faster with her presence. During the 3 weeks, he completed work equivalent to approximately 2 months when he was alone. He didn't know if it was because of the good and quick help or because of his recent high spirits, but the answer didn't matter much. In both cases, Mila improved his productivity, and he was pleased with it. With this, their days passed quickly, all day long working on the portal inscriptions, and all night working to determine who was the controlling party in the relationship. Of course, Mila came out victorious every time. After another 6 weeks from the wedding ceremony. Good. That's good enough. Mila, bring me the ink jar number 34 and brush number 7. Robin spoke in sweat, looking excitedly up at the rune that was almost on the floor. There you go. Mila quickly brought the things and passed them nervously. Robin grabbed the brush and dipped it into the jar, and then, whoosh, drew straight across over the last rune. Easy. All the runes on the metal gate glowed for a moment as if they had been resurrected before dimming again. Ha ha ha. We did it. Robin laughed hysterically when he realized what had just happened. The space portal has been completed. All he needs now is to provide it with energy stones and enter the coordinates into the control board, and the space portal will be ready to move him wherever he wants. So, are you leaving? Mila asked in a hesitant voice, not showing any enthusiasm or happiness. HH. Robin's laugh was cut off midway when he heard the question, the smile fading away, until suddenly a few moments later. I'm not leaving now, of course. Caesar still needs an extra session in 2 weeks. Have you forgotten? And after the 2 weeks, Mila asked again. We'll see then, replied Robin, annoyed, then gave a dirty laugh and moved forward and leaned into his lap. Don't you think this achievement deserves a special celebration? Oh, are you sure? The last time you said you were going to punish me by sleeping alone for 2 days. A smile full of meanings looked on Mila's face. It's because you provoked me. At least cooperate with me more. I'm doing my best here. Robin was annoyed. No. Quickly increase your cultivation level and listen to the little voices and moans you like with your own power. Wouldn't it sound even better then? Tisk, just shut up and let's go. You know what? We will do it standing today. To bed for you tonight. Robin found nothing more to say, so he slapped her in the buttocks and started walking towards a special corner of the warehouse. His cultivation level, and even his body that was weaker than those who are at his level, made it difficult for him to handle a level 26 saint. He had to squish even an ounce of energy and experience every day to gain some face. Actually, he finally started thinking of ways to strengthen his body for the first time just because of this. For the next 2 weeks, with no urgent work and nothing to do, Robin was back in training to increase his strength. After the first week of trying, he came to make sure that strengthening his body with alternatives was much easier said than done. And even if there is room to make it happen, he will need months and maybe years to even begin. So he just brushed it aside and went to raise his cultivation level. Although he knows that increasing his level does not increase his actual strength by much, every small amount of strength can benefit him wherever he goes. And indeed, after 15 days of seclusion, he managed to break through to level 16 of knighthood without problems and even made a few preparations for the next level. Today is the date of the last foundation modification session for Caesar. Today is the date of the last thing that binds him to this world. Chapter 2, 17 Ability. Aha. Ow. Ah. Caesar's cries slowed down until he stopped completely and fell on his face. But this time the blood did not flow from all the orifices of his face as much as usual, and his eyes were still open. He did not faint as usual. Your endurance is much better. Congratulations on your new foundation, kid. Robin chuckled and patted Caesar's shoulder, then looked at the standing Fire Legion members. Take him to his house to rest. After everyone had left, only Mila was left with him in the room. He felt her gaze on him, but he was afraid to look back at her. He knew what she was thinking. There was nothing left to tie him to this place anymore. If he wanted, he could leave at once. After a few seconds at last, he looked at her for a long time, and then moved towards her, then gently hugged her and kissed her head. I will go into seclusion to speak with the all-seeing God to prepare for a plan for the coming period. A plan for what? Do you think I'm stupid? Robin, don't you dare leave without saying goodbye to me. I will follow you step by step from now on. Mila pushed him and yelled. Huh? Haha. How can I dare do that to my Mila? Don't worry. I will talk to him for a moment and ask him for a few things. Even if we agreed to make the move today, I will still have to get out of my room and past this place to get to the warehouse, right? Just wait for me here. Robin laughed a fake laugh and stroked her hair. Mila nodded gently, then watched him as he descended the stairs toward his seclusion room. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Bright spots began to emerge from Robin's head and gathered in the form of a humanoid light. Finally, you summoned me. Are you ready now? Yes, Robin replied in a low voice. The all-seeing God furrowed his eyebrow. What is wrong with this depressing response? You didn't manage to get that girl of yours, or what? Don't worry, it's her loss. You will find many pretty girls where you will go. Robin smiled. Actually, I did marry the girl we spoke to here. My mental state has improved a lot since the last time. Your advice was spot on. You should really consider renaming yourself to the all-romance God he. Your mental state has improved? Well, I don't see that in you. The all-seeing ignored Robin's teasing and then added, Listen here, kid. This is a very important and dangerous task, and I think you are well aware of this. I know you are not fond of the idea of going, but at least tell yourself otherwise and have some morale, or you will die the moment you reach Nahari. And if you absolutely refuse to go, it doesn't matter. I'll think of something else. Robin quickly shook his hand. No, it's not that. Actually, I have been getting excited to go for a while. I have nothing to do here anymore, and life can be said to be getting boring. Seeing another world and taking on a new challenge doesn't seem like a bad idea at all. But what? The humanoid light narrowed his eyes. I have a bad feeling, Robin spoke slowly. A feeling? Describe it to me. The all-seeing God didn't mock Robin and asked quickly. I don't know. I feel bad about something. When it hit me, I feel like my heart is squeezing. I feel like someone is choking me. Robin put his hand over his heart. Oh, to that degree? Why does that happen in your opinion? Because of leaving your loved ones behind, perhaps? Asked all-seeing God again. Robin shook his head. No, I had that feeling before. It was just a year or two after we meet. At that time, Caesar left for an event called the 8 Kingdoms Tournament. Because of this feeling, I tried everything to help him, and I was right. After my kid arrived there were several attempts to kill him, and even my blood brother betrayed the family to make a trap him. If not for the high-level talismans I sent him and the arrangements I made with Mila beforehand to protect him, if I didn't even send him Theo and Peon to help him, he would have come back to me a dead body. Interesting. Very interesting. The all-seeing God raised his hand under his chin and muttered, "What exactly is interesting?" Robin was surprised. What would interest such a person? There is no harm telling you. Since I took the first opportunity to leave my mother planet countless years ago, and I have been jumping from one planet to another trying to understand my new path more, because there were no manuscripts or previous research talking about this path on my planet. After moving to several planets and searching for the secrets of the few users of this path on each planet for a few thousands of years, I found some useful things, but some strange things as well. Mentioning one, I read in one of the history books on a middle planet that a person lived on that planet one day. He invented many techniques and made inscriptions that benefited everyone, and his memory was still alive even after dying for nearly 1,000,000 years. He was definitely a student of the true path. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything left off the track that might help me, but I read something about him that baffled me. It was said he could memorize any technique just by looking. Memorize any technique just by looking? Robin was startled and said the words slowly. Yeah, strange, huh? Then the all-seeing God continued. I thought that this history book exaggerated the glorification of that person, but I read about his life from several sources, and all of them confirmed this information. He was even called the copyist. Some history books even explain situations in which he was able to copy ancient mighty attacking techniques that were kept secret for thousands of years from his enemies after they used them once in front of him. But this is very difficult, even for the path of the truth. We should first check the law itself and try to merge or add some other laws and tricks to come closer to the original. That could take months and wait a moment. You mean? It was as if Robin understood something and suddenly stopped. I don't mean anything. It might just be an illusion in my head and yours. The all-seeing God closed his eyes as he shook his head, but suddenly opened them. But it might not be so. I will only tell you what I know about this. During my travels, I found many traces of others who were using the path of truth. History wrote details about their lives and achievements. Most of the things I read I could relate to, but there were sometimes other things that I was not able to do no matter what. It was like a special ability for some sort. In the end, I stopped after I learned that I too have an ability that no one has ever had before me. At least, it was never written about. Are you saying that each truth master has a certain unique ability? Robin stood with his eyes wide open. That was huge news. Chapter 2:18 Final Preparations. Not all of them. The all-seeing God shook his head. During my lifetime, I have met or read about thousands of truth path users. Only 9 of them had a special ability that I am unable to comprehend. Oh, you think the original discoverers of the path like us were the ones who enjoyed these special abilities? Robin sat down and started rubbing his chin. No, at least one of the 10 was a disciple of a former truth master, and another one discovered the path when he was at the top of his planet in terms of strength and age. There is no particular pattern connecting the 9 of them. The only thing they have in common is that this ability has shown itself close after they gained the truth path approval. They were in a very dire state when their abilities started to show themselves, and somehow every time they had received just the ability they need. Strange. I wasn't the one in a dire state at that time. And you mean the truth itself gives this ability in certain situations and not randomly? Does it have consciousness? Robin muttered, then raised his face toward the humanoid light. I don't know. The only thing I'm sure of is that every one of those abilities really had something to do with the path of the truth, but just a little overpowering compared to the norm of the path. As for your other questions, I don't anything. I'm still but a student of this magnificent path. The all-seeing God shook his head. Robin frowned. What kind of a god are you? Anyway, what about your ability? What can you do that I can't? Sorry, I can't tell you. My ability is the secret that made me who I am today, and no one is allowed to know it. Not even my children. The all-seeing God refused bluntly. Hey, that's unfair. You know mine. Robin furrowed his eyebrows and shouted. What is my fault that you are an idiot and you revealed it yourself? Secondly, neither I nor you know what your ability is yet. A bad feeling? What is this exactly? And it may not be ability at all. Maybe you are just overthinking the worst because you are worried about your little chicks, huh? Finding that Robin did not react to him and still looked at him with a strange look, the all-seeing God continued. You told me you were feeling it when he thought of your son Caesar before that incident happened to him. Who are you thinking about this time when you get that feeling? Everyone. The all-seeing God raised his eyebrows after releasing how serious Robin's thoughts about this matter were. Boy, don't you dare change your mind about your mission because of this. Even if this is indeed a special ability and something bad will happen to everyone in the future, your presence here with them won't prevent it. If even those saints and that massive army of yours can't do a thing about it, then you wouldn't be able to too. You are still too weak. I know this. That's one of the reasons why I didn't decide to stay, but Robin put his head in his hands. You said your preparations saved Caesar earlier, right? That means your bad feeling about the future can be reversed, right? The all-seeing God suddenly asked. Correct. If you left a few things behind to help everyone, would that make you feel better? I think so. What do you want to say? Robin shrugged, then asked seriously. I helped you speed up your research once already. What's the problem if I did twice? The all-seeing God said, and then looked seriously at Robin. Today we will begin your last seclusion in this world, after which I will not accept any excuses. Understand? All right. After a month and 10 days. KRRR. The sound of the door opening came from the basement. Whoosh. A shadow moved quickly and stood in front of the door in a blink. Robin, what took you so long? I was worried sick about you. You told me you were just entering a short meeting with the all-seeing God guy. An involuntary smile appeared on Robin's face as he gently hugged Mila and kissed her on the cheek before speaking. Would you please summon my kids back here? And Billy too. I need to talk to you all as soon as possible. All right. Mila's heart clenched when she heard these words. He clearly wanted to say goodbye. 3 days later inside Robin's palace. Sorry for being late. Father. Theo walked in and bowed completely, then found a chair next to the rest. His tongue was still not fully accustomed to speaking yet. Oh, you also reached level 16? No wonder you came from the easternmost corner of our duchy in just 3 days. Robin nodded with a smile and then looked at Caesar with a wry smile. I told you they would outrun you. Tisk, just a pause. You will soon see how I get past them all. Caesar punched in the chest with confidence. Well, everybody's here now, said Billy. Robin, why did you ask to meet us today? Robin did not reply immediately, but merely looked around at the faces of everyone present. The bad feeling and suffocation accumulated to an awful degree. But he quickly restrained himself and said, Some of you already know what I'm gathering you here for, and of you who are still ignorant. For those who don't know yet, I'm about to take a long journey to another planet, and it may take tens of years. I'm leaving today, in fact. What? Everyone, except Mila and Caesar, suddenly shouted. Another planet? What do you mean another planet? Asked Billy, furrowed with eyebrows. You are leaving today? Can we come with you? Peon asked. Robin gestured with his hand to calm them down. The topic is long, and there is no need to go through its details. The important thing is to know that I will be away for a while, but I will definitely come back. Definitely. Dad, please take me with you. Zara came forward with tears already filling her eyes. Even after becoming a stunning young lady of about 24 years old, she still finds herself as a child in the presence of the person who once saved her childhood. Sorry, my dear. I can't take anyone with me for this mission, especially if it's a lovely girl like you. Robin said, patting her hair. You just want to run away from everyone you know? Looks like you are bored with us and want a change of scenery, Mila said excitedly. Robin looked at her and chuckled. You know that's not true. Even if we put aside how much energy stones it costs to move, it might be too dangerous out there, and I can't afford to put any one of you in danger. Mila didn't say anything else. She just looked away as a thread of tears started to fall from her eyes. Seeing that no one else cared about the most important point, Billy shouted again. Is there anyone still sane in this family? What the hell do you mean by another planet? Chapter 219 Parting Gifts. Robin looked at his side with a frown. Another planet means another planet. What do you keep raising trivial matters? A planet. A planet. You mean those dark things we see in the sky sometimes? What are you going to do here? Billy kept pressing. He simply didn't want to take it. You? Sai, we are not alone in the universe. There are other beings on other planets, and I'm going to one of those planets. Is that explained enough? This. Billy felt as if a wire had been cut in his head. Robin's words weren't as simple as it seems. If he can go to other planets, doesn't that mean that the inhabitants of other planets can come to them as well? Will they come in peace to explore or to conquer? What do we do if they come? Only a rational Billy who had a huge family to protect thought about these things, while the rest were busy looking at Robin as if it was the last time they would see him. Well, maybe we should take this conversation to the next level. I brought you together today mainly to say goodbye, but also to hand you some new toys. Robin spoke, then reached out to his chair and grabbed an open small bag full of metal tablets. Did you invent something else? Billy woke up from his confusion and took a few steps toward the bag, with anxious eyes. Wow, that was so fast, I thought you faint again, Robin looked at his friend's condition, gave a slight laugh, and began to take out the first tablet. This tablet contains the second stage of the perfect major heavenly law cultivation technique of fire. It will be the property of the Fire Legion and will always be with their commander. Then throw toward Caesar. Everyone opened their eyes to the last of them. This was very big news. The discovery of the second stage of any minor law is a cause for celebration and pride. What about the discovery of the second stage of a major law? Then Robin took out 3 more tablets. The second stage of the Wind Major Law, the second stage of Darkness Major Law, and the second stage of Life Major Law. The first 2 will also be the private property of both the Wind and Dark Legion's commanders, whoever that be. If one of you 3 decided one day to roam the world and leave the army, then do as you wish. Just choose a good successor, give him a more strict oath, then hand him the tablet. As for the major law of life, it will remain specific to Zara and her future personal disciples. I nominate to open a special 4th smaller legion in which the absolute elites of the family are chosen to study the law of life under Zara's direct supervision. And it is better to keep their numbers few. And of course, they also must follow a strict oath. What the? Billy's heartbeat drove up. Everyone was dumbfounded at what they are seeing. The second stage of the 4 perfect major heavenly law cultivation techniques in the family. What? Can't I advance my research? Robin asked with an annoyed face. When did you have time to research all this? I asked Mila, surprised. I had a special moment of enlightenment. That lasted a month. Robin shrugged the question away, then took out another tablet and threw it toward Caesar. This tablet contains the second class of the death fire technique. Woaha, I knew you wouldn't forget me. Caesar happily picked it up and hugged it as if he saw his long-lost child, while leaving the tablet of the perfect heavenly law of fire to fall next to him. This was also during the last month. Mila asked, narrowing her eyes. Yeah, it was a very productive month, Robin replied, then took out another tablet and gave it to Mila. This one has a copy of the foundation modification technique that can help upgrade a person's foundations from a minor law to the main law in the same path. You and Billy should use it and train in the perfect major heavenly law cultivation technique of fire. Mila opened her eyes wide. Even Billy took a few steps toward the tablet, and saliva started dripping down on him. If all the elders trained in the perfect minor heavenly law cultivation technique of fire as well, the family will. No, only you and Mila can use it, or you can use it as a reward for the one who makes the biggest contributions to the family, and it has to be approved by everyone present here. And you have to be sure of his absolute loyalty to the family, and to me before he can take this technique. Understood? Robin spoke decisively. Huh? Why? If the entire Elder Console are trained on this, they would. No means no. Robin interrupted firmly. Then after a few seconds he added, I don't feel good when I see of most of them. Don't feel good? What are you talking about? Asked Mila. Nothing. Robin shook his head and took out another tablet and gave it to Mila. As for this, it is your wedding gift. I'm sorry if it is too late. This tablet contains the first and second stages of the fire of life law cultivation technique. It is a special technique I made just for you. After you have upgraded your foundations to be of the perfect fire law, change some of them into the law of life with the help of this technique. Caesar and Zara will teach you how. Since you are a high-level saint now, you'll be able to handle pain much better, and you won't need my personal help. Robin, Mila's heart pounded when she heard what Robin said. This was simply a very expensive gift. No need to say anything. You are more special to me than any gift can say. Just don't give it to anyone else. After you are done practicing with it, destroy the tablet." Robin smiled and stroked her hair. He thought a lot about what he would leave for her before he left, and found Caesar's wish to be special wasn't a bad idea. Who likes to be special more than women? Also, the fire of life will preserve her life in his absence much better than the fire shards she is currently using. Chapter 220. My name. Wow. Looks like when you said you might be gone for a long time, you weren't exaggerating. Billy looked at the metal tablets in everyone's hands and said, "At this stage, all these tablets weren't just temporary parting gifts." He didn't know when Robin got the time for all of this, but it looks like he is saying his final goodbye. Leave that sentence to the end. I'm not done yet. Robin chuckled and then took out another metal tablet. The energy training technique I made earlier relies on directly absorbing natural energy that is hovering in the atmosphere, and it is perfect in this regard. But the density of the natural energy is limited after all, and that limits the speed of my technique. Here, this one contains a specialized technique in absorbing energy from energy stones. Using it, a cultivator can absorb a large number of energy stones at the same time and increase his cultivation speed by much. Now that the family is this rich, I think we can provide good amounts of energy stones for our elites, right? Billy slowly took 2 steps and grabbed the tablet in Robin's hand with a dazed look on his face. This technique. All these techniques that I have produced so far, and you have come to be amazed at this one. Robin reached out and slapped Billy in the forehead, laughing out loud. Don't you realize its value? If it's as you say, it's definitely as important as the life major heavenly law technique, maybe more. Robin's first energy training technique is truly miraculous and has rocketly speeded up their cultivation. As for this one that he described as much faster, how fast would it be? Really? I didn't think of that. Robin shrugged. Have you given it a name? Billy asked, his eyes not leaving the tablet. Robin shook his head. No need. It's just an energy absorption technique like the rest, and no, you will have to name it. The atmosphere energy absorbing technique you made earlier needs a name too. Stop being lazy. Billy said angrily. Robin scratched his head and looked around. Does anyone have a name suggestion? Come on, you have to help me get this guy over my head. The look on Robin's face softened the atmosphere a lot. Even Zara giggled a little and wiped some of her tears. The 2 techniques my husband made are the absolute best. There is no comparable one that ever came before and will never be another that will come after him, unless it was my husband himself who upgrades them again later. They are absolute and incomparable. Mila said proudly. Let's call them the Absolute Atmosphere Energy Cultivation Technique and the Absolute Stone Energy Cultivation Technique. Caesar and the rest nodded. Even Billy nodded twice. I can live with that name. Robin gave a big smile. Okay, as long as we agree. I want the Absolute Atmosphere Energy Cultivation Technique to be disseminated among all of our family members and subfamilies, and also to be auctioned under the name of the Creator X Burton. Only the Absolute Stone Energy Cultivation Technique will be preserved for the upper class of the family and the family's special forces. As you wish, it's your invention after all. Billy nodded. As long as the topic is brought up, do you have another recommendation? Yes, spread the policy of increasing births. Encourage the bearers of the name Burton to have a lot of babies and to do it fast. Give those who give birth to more than 4 children financial support, and increase the support for each newborn. Billy furrowed his eyebrows. This kind of decision might cause a population explosion in the city they just finished, but he eventually nodded and asked, what else? Begin to enlarge the special forces. Make it so big that it doesn't even become special after that. But of course, its growth must remain restricted by an oath of absolute loyalty to the family and to the chief of forces, one of my 4 sons. I think that after the strength they have shown and successive successes, you will have no problem finding volunteers. Also, don't get all the rune masters to create just faux sale when you hit like 1,000,000 talisman in Stoke. Always keep 50% of what they produce in our storages. Put in mind that you will never have enough. Billy opened his eyes wide, even the rest of the room looking at each other. If this request is linked to the one before it, I thought we would enter into a period of peace and prosperity after our wars were finished and the duchy is formed, especially since you were leaving. Billy said solemnly. Those decisions are absolutely not to stay peaceful. I hope so too, but prevention is better than cure. Do not neglect the army even for a moment. I repeat, do not neglect the army even for one moment. Pump most of the profits you gain from selling the talismans that the Rune Academy produces into nurturing more knights and saints to the family. Do not leave it in the hands of those old men to spend it on luxury and bullshit. Do you understand? Billy was silent for a while, then asked again, what else? Haha. Nothing specific. I'll leave the rest for you, Mila, and the kids to decide. I trust that you have already got my point and that you will make the right decisions when the time comes. All right then, I won't let you down. Billy patted his chest and looked at Robin's hand. Oh right, we got it off topic. What else do you have in that treasure bag? Oh, it's some old stuff like the perfect minor heavenly law cultivation technique of Blaze, and some other techniques with the ways of making copies of them to sell. You will also find here the way to upgrade the furnaces to make high-categorized weapons. There are also ideas for talismans to teach the rune masters, just a few ways to secure the family's profits for years to come, said Robin and threw the bag over to Billy. Is that all? He took it with both his hands and looked at the tablets. You gave Caesar the fire of death. You gave Mila the fire of life. Didn't you do something good for me too? Are you my son or my wife? Robin looked at him in a weird way. I'm your friend, Billy said agitated, but it was obvious he was joking. Try harder. Robin laughed loudly and patted his shoulder. Sigh, my feelings hurt, but whatever. Billy put his hand on his chest sadly, before he also burst into laughter. All right. Looks like the important things are over. I'm leaving now to give you time with your close ones. You are family to Billy. Secondly, I'm not done yet. There's something very important that you should take care of. Robin grabbed his arm. What can I do for you? Billy asked with a serious look on his face. If I don't come back in 50 years from now. Robin paused for a moment and continued. Announce to the world that Burton is none other than Robin Burton. Chapter 2:21 Goodbye. Father, what are you saying? You will definitely come back to us. Zara spoke nervously. The features of the three boys flipped as if their hearts had stopped, especially Caesar, who seemed to be barely restraining himself from smashing the handset of his chair. There was no point mentioning something like this now. Mila choked, trying very hard to hold back her tears. Haha, what is wrong with you all? In 50 years from now, the family will be strong enough to withstand the consequences of this announcement, and everyone in this room will have the power to protect himself. That is what I meant, but I will definitely be back. What? Do you not want your father to be famous and achieve his dream? Ha ha. Robin laughed out loud at the end. Billy looked at Robin for a long time, then nodded vigorously, and disappeared from his spot. Father, you said you want to leave today? That wouldn't work. You are a genius, but you are not strong enough. At least let me give you some pointers, Caesar suddenly spoke. Robin looked at him and smiled. This boy's way of asking seemed as if he was planning something. I give you your power, and you use it to give me pointers. The world is coming to an end or something. Never mind. I will have to leave within this month. There is no problem to stay a few days and wipe your ass a few times. Good. I will wait for you at the private training grounds then. Caesar spoke, then stood and moved toward the door. Come on, guys. Let's let our father enjoy himself a little with his wife before we knock out his teeth. The other two boys moved after him, but Zara refused to leave before giving Robin one last hug, and then ran after her brothers. After a full 2 minutes of everyone leaving and confirming in her own spirit that no one was around, Mila looked at Robin. Leaving in a month, huh? I didn't lie. Today is a part of the month too. I know that boy very well. He is absolutely stronger than me now. He will try to invent something to come with me, or even stop me. Maybe even break me a few bones in the process to delay me. I can't just sit back and wait for that to happen. Robin smiled and replied, and started moving towards one of the back windows of the house to jump out of it, saying to Mila, "Let's go. It's time to see that Nahari." But Mila grabbed him at the last moment and pushed him toward the sofa. "What do you want, woman?" Mila didn't answer him. She just rushed towards him and kissed him hard and started to undress. 2 hours later, the iron warehouse. "Lioness," Robin said, still adjusting parts of his clothes. "What? Shouldn't I get a goodbye session?" "Humph. I just hope that those 2 hours will satisfy you until I come back. Don't look at men other than me here. I will be sad if you do." Robin said with a chuckle. Humph. Mila looked away, but a strange light made her turn her gaze toward Robin again. The all-seeing god's humanoid light had already formed. Prestige, strength, pressure. The all-seeing god. Everything around that light structure made Mila feel completely submissive. Before she realized, she found herself making a complete bow toward him. Seeing this, the all-seeing god furrowed an eyebrow and shook his hand. We do not do this here. Then he looked toward Robin. Who is this? Aha. This is my woman we talked about earlier. I already told her everything. You don't need to be careful when she is around, Robin said, and then moved toward Mila. Girl, the all-seeing god is a big brother figure to me. No need to bow before him. But you said he was a god, Mila said in astonishment, stiffening her back. He said this himself, not me. Robin shrugs. This is what everyone calls me. I didn't call myself that, the clairvoyant god said out loud, then continued. Never mind. Are you ready? Robin looked firmly at the humanoid light and then nodded vigorously. Finally, a big smile appeared on the face of the humanoid light. Then he raised his finger and a fast beam shot towards his head. Robin. These are the coordinates of the planet Nahari, specifically in a forest next to a city of one of the major tribes there. I chose that place so that you can take your time to get used to the atmosphere of the planet and plan what you will do. Write the coordinates in the control panel of the space portal and then turn on the gate. After you set foot in it, it will consume all the stones and it will close automatically. Planet Nahari is a bit far from this nascent planet, so it may take a few days to arrive. Along the journey, don't let your inner researcher take control of you. Try to go with the flow and stay as still as possible so as not to suffer any serious injuries or even die before you arrive. It is even better to shut your consciousness completely and sleep. Understand? The warning made Mila's body shiver, injured even before he reached that dangerous place. But Robin just nodded again. Good. Also know that I will not be able to help you much on the planet Nahari as I'm here. Actually, I will not be able to help you at all. If that person feels my presence, he may send someone to kill you and will speed up the conquest plans. I will be screwed. From today on, I will forget I know you. I will not even be able to monitor your actions there. You will be alone, and you better understand that. Do not try to contact me even if there is a fatal threat to your life. Act smart and embrace humiliation. Don't get yourself in trouble in the first place if you can't handle it. So if you were planning on depending on some time-stopping acts for me to save you, too bad. Do you understand? Robin nodded again. Good that you understand. Have a safe journey, the all-seeing god said, and then disappeared. Mila remained silent for a few seconds, then spoke. What a big brother treatment, huh? I'm just returning his favor, Robin said as he headed towards the control panel and started writing the coordinates manually into it. Every rune he draw would disappear, and then he would write the next one. Very quickly, he wrote a few tens of them. After he wrote it all, he chose the option to turn the space portal on. BBZZZT. A sliver of faint blue light began to appear in the huge half circle, looking like a translucent substance that Robin could look through. Well, I guess that is it. There's no turning back now. Robin looked toward the portal and spoke in a low voice, not even knowing if he was talking to Mila or to himself. Robin, maybe you can postpone this trip until Tish. Mila spoke quickly, but couldn't finish her sentence, as Robin placed a strong kiss on her lips that lasted for a few seconds before finally letting her go and saying, Don't allow my legacy here go to waste. Then he jumped towards the space portal, disappearing inside. FRROM. P. The gate glowed intensely for a moment before the light disappeared completely after that, leaving nothing but a large pile of energy stone ashes, and a woman crying on the floor. Chapter 222, Arriving at Nahari. What a strange feeling. My heart stopped. My bowel movement stopped. My lungs stopped. Everything is dead, except my consciousness. What's going on? How long has it been since I jumped inside the gate? Hours. Days. Time flies by strangely here. I don't see anything nor hear anything. My eyes are closed. I can't open them. My consciousness is also slow. Without my spiritual strength, I wouldn't be able to think. Anyone below a sage level of soul strength would have passed out already. Is this what inside a space portal is like? What a strange effect. Am I now on my way to Nahari? I wish to see what is happening around me. Right. I will try to open the eye of truth. A faint green light started shining behind Robin's eyelids. My God. Using his eyes of the truth, Robin was able to ignore the existence of his eyelids and see shadows of what was happening around him. His stiff body looked like a static puppet. Around him something like a spiral tunnel, and countless small bright spots were passing by at an insane speed. The tunnel. After his initial astonishment at the sight that he would not even see in his dreams, Robin focused on the most important thing he had seen. There is a strong law. In this tube, I feel it. Space law. Yeah, the heavenly space law. Contrary to the high-level runes, which the all-seeing God gave me. Here I can see everything clearly. Starting from the first level of the major law, it is the most obvious and clear pattern I have seen, Robin thought, then fell out of consciousness for a moment again. What? A chance. 8 days later, a small blue gate opened and Robin's body emerges in the same condition he entered on the other side, both feet on the ground and in a running position. But the moment his foot hits the ground, boom. Ka ka ka. Heya ha ha. The moment Robin's feet touched the ground, his face also touched the ground like a cannonball that met its target, making a huge hole in the floor below. The only thing he heard after the initial clash was the sound of cracking bones, and the second thing was his own scream. At one moment he was delighted, trying to not miss a single pattern of the law of space, which is one of the highest laws, and a moment later he felt that 100 earth dragons were standing over his body, crushing it. Everything happened in the blink of an eye to the point that he did not comprehend what was happening. What the? Robin tried to move his body with all his might, but he couldn't even lift his finger. Who? After a few failed attempts to move, Robin began trying to take a long inhale and exhale, trying to calm himself and find out the most of what he can. All my inner organs is back working with no problem. Wow, the density of oxygen in the air here is higher than on my planet. I feel my respiratory system is thanking me for breathing this air. The natural energy in the atmosphere is also incredibly dense. I can literally touch it. It seems like no accident has happened. I have reached the planet Nahari. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. What happened? Did I land wrong? I'm hungry. How can my bones shatter from a fall like this? Even a baby could have withstood it. There is no energy in my body, not even a drop. How many bones did I break? I'm thirsty. Whenever Robin tries to think of something intellectual, his stomach rumbles him back to his survival instinct. He was actually starving, literally starving to the point of near death. And he quickly thought of a possible reason. Inside the spiral tunnel, all of his organs were in a frozen state. It's most likely a mechanism to make the traveler reach the other end of his destination without the need to eat or do anything important to live, because, well, they couldn't in that space. In other words, for anyone else, it would only feel like a short nap and would get back to full power the moment he exit that tunnel. But Robin was not an ordinary traveler. Activating the Eye of Truth requires a not small amount of energy, and he has activated it for days. All his energy stores in his body were gone. After that, any food in his body was burned and turned into energy, and then his muscles lost all their power and sent it into his eyes. At this moment, he was already starting to lose weight. The state he was in made him unaware of what was happening in his body, and his focus on space law made him ignore the consequences. When he got to this point of conclusion, he gave a long sigh. FCK me. No, he suddenly said and furrowed his eyebrow. That doesn't explain that terrible fall, nor does it explain why there are more than 19 different broken bones all over my body. Crack. Aha. No sooner had he finished his words than he completed the lucky number 20 broken bones. No, this is not because I lost my power. There is a great force pressing on me from above. The hole caused by his fall made him not see anything around him. So Robin tried to straighten his head with difficulty and looked up next to his eye, only to find the sky. This force, pressure, it exists. I feel like it is crushing me. It's gravity. Robin opened his eyes wide. Yeah, no doubt. It's tens of times stronger than my planet's gravity. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Robin felt like he was about to cry. He had barely touched planet Nahari, but bad luck hit him right away. Nothing in his situation could be envied. It literally can't get any worse. RAAWWRRRR. Chapter 223, Immediate Regret. FCK. Robin's mind stopped working for a moment when he heard the roar. He might be on another planet, but a roar is a roar. That was a hungry damn beast for sure, and it looks like it is quite near too. Probably the strong sound he caused after falling caught the beast's attention. According to the distance that the roar came from, even if the beast came with no hurry, it would reach this place in a minute or two. The power behind its voice says it is very strong, but even if it is not, any passing rabbit could kill Robin for fun in his current condition. Think. Robin tried to calm himself, and his eyes traveled all around him, trying to find something to put his hopes onto. But he only found the sky above him and the solid ground around and below. KSHHHH. He barely moved his fingers, with enough force to scratch the soft soil beneath him, and shouted, No. I didn't come all the way from another damn planet to be some beast shit here. I'm not willing. But then his features took a sudden turn from fear to amazement. He quickly furrowed an eyebrow and looked under him again. This ground. As he scratched the ground with his fingernails, he felt a slight quivering in the atmosphere around his fingers, as if a strand of energy was escaping from the lines he scratched. This ground. It contains a natural energy that is almost equivalent to what is found in the energy stones in my world. Robin's surprise knew no bounds when he sensed this. Energy stones are a specific mineral that can store natural energy in it over very long periods. Everyone on his planet is looking for mines for these stones day and night, but their quantities are always limited compared to the demand. Even though the inhabitants of his nascent planet didn't know how to exploit these energy stones to the max, for example, their absorption would be 10% faster than their cultivation if they used the natural energy in the atmosphere around them. It was still a precious item and one of the foundations of any noble family. 10% more speed is tens of years for a saint. As for here, even the random dirt that he fell on contains a similar amount of energy stones of the same size. Doesn't this mean that if he created a space portal here, he would only need a few shovels and 2 average slaves to secure his energy requirement? Sush. Without delaying another second, Robin turned on the absolute stone energy cultivation technique, and a torrent of energy began to emerge from the ground beneath and enter his body from all the pores. Ha ha ha. The feeling of thrill that Robin had when the energy started flowing to his body did not feel for a very long time. But he soon stopped laughing, and a stupefied expression formed on his face as he looked up. But this time he wasn't looking at the sky, but rather a huge head that exchanged looks with him. The head of a strange dark color creature looks like a mixture of a mouse and a wolf, covered with shiny plates that look like metal. The size of this head indicates that the length of the rest of his body is at least 6 meters. Hello, Mr. Creature from an alien world. Hope you are having a nice day. In fact, I came to you in peace. Can we a nice decision? Ray! The creature roared with joy and passion as if it had found the whole week's catch, then opened its mouth and swooped down. Not today, ugly motherfucker. Robin shouted and moved a finger, and a gust of wind flew one of the talismans in his pants and quickly landed on his index finger. The moment it landed on Robin's finger, he pumped most of the energy he had absorbed during these few seconds into it, activated it, and then with another gust of wind, the talisman flew towards the mouth of the beast and entered it. Gulp. Cough cough. Surprised by what just happened, the beast stopped its attack and tried to vomit the strange thing it had swallowed, but it heard a voice. You seem hungry? You want to eat something, huh? Tell me how you will find the fire explosion talisman then. Boom. Ski. The beast shrieked in agony and vomited a few mouthfuls of blood, some of which fell on Robin's face. Then Robin heard erratic steps moving away. Clearly, the beast was seriously injured. Tui, Robin spat the blood that ran down his face and entered his mouth, and then shouted, What the hell was that? The talisman that just exploded is a level 25 fire explosion talisman that Robin prepared especially for this trip, but the explosion didn't kill the beast. And this result after it exploded in his soft intestines? What would have happened if he attacked his scales from the outside? Will it cause the beast to blush? What have I gotten myself into? Robin said, almost crying. This was the first random creature he had met in this world, and it was not encouraging at all. SHHHHHHHH. Activating the absolute stone energy cultivation technique once more, the energy from the ground started to flow again to his body silently. Sitting here in a pool of blood and regretting his life choices wouldn't help him in any way. After 2 hours. HSHHH. Huh. FFFF. Me. Huh. Robin pulled himself up the hole at last with his almost intact right arm. The first thing Robin saw around him after coming out of the hole was blue, a lot of blue. He had really landed in a forest, as the all-seeing God had told him. This was evident in the grass around him, the thick-stemmed trees around him, and the short, intertwined bushes. But the strange thing in this forest is that all of them are shades of blue, unlike the green color he was accustomed to. Blue. Even if it is pink, it doesn't matter. Huh. Robin then reached out his right hand once more and started crawling again toward the nearest tree like he was fighting for his life. Chapter 2:24 Silent Struggle. Every few inches he crawled forward with the help of his right hand. It appeared like it took an effort, as if he was struggling in a battle that will decide his life or death. And after every push, he takes a short rest, then shouts, FCKU, all-seeing piece of shit. Then the crawl continues. How did he not tell him such a thing? What is difficult about be careful? You will face gravity tens of times greater than what you are used to. Is it possible that he forgot that the gravity of this planet is greater than that of Robin in this frightening way? Or did he not look into it, as he did not care about it? Or did he know, but thought it was a silly thing to talk about? What would have happened if Robin acknowledged his mission as soon as he told him and came here when he was still at level 11? Would he have died as soon as he arrived? FCKU, all-seeing piece of shit. A distance of only 2 meters from the location of the hole to the nearest tree, but it took more than half an hour to cut it. Then he waited for another quarter of an hour, and with a hi-ya, he put all the energy he had collected in his right hand and managed to flip himself over to lie on his back. Finally, he saw a glimmer of hope. There is a fruit pampered from the branches of the tree above him. After another 5 minutes of rest, Robin waved his finger. Swoosh, a strong blade of wind moved towards the nearest fruit to his face, but failed to cut it in half. Impossible. Can't I even cut a damn fruit? I know my attacks are weak for a level 16 knight, but hell, I'm not that weak. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A few more blades hit the same spot until the fruit was damaged enough and the juice inside it began to fall on Robin's head, who tried his best to adjust its position so that the juice would go directly into his mouth. Gulp, gulp. Gulp, gulp. Within about a quarter of an hour, all the juice dripping from the huge fruit was gone, but it was plenty enough to fill part of his stomach, his face, the top of his clothes, and even the ground under his head as well. Damn it. After he finished this impossible task, eating a piece of fruit, Robin started thinking about his situation again. He is technically asleep on an inexhaustible energy reserve and even breathing it, but natural energy is not everything. With this energy, he could use his laws and talismans freely, but in the end, he still has to rely on his physical strength to move around. And as for the state of his physical body, he is hungry. He has 20 broken bones that seem they are about to increase. Most of the muscles in his body are torn or stiff, and a terrible gravitational force is pressing on him. That fruit didn't satisfy his hunger, and it certainly wouldn't satisfy his physical body's needs, but it was a good start. After digesting it, crawling around will be a little easier. As for the injuries all over his body, a faint green light started igniting from his body as the life law began to instantly convert the energy he pulled from the earth into life energy to circulate in his body and automatically heal it. Robin was surprised when he saw the aura resulting from the activation of the life law. It was much more intense than he remembered. Is the law of life in this world different from what I know? Robin thought, but did not continue to think much in this direction. It wouldn't matter for now how different it is as long as it works. So he closed his eyes again. He didn't know how long his body treatment would end, but it appears like he would need maybe 2 or even 3 weeks. In this period, it's time to think about the most important thing. How do I get rid of this gravity? How? Robin muttered slowly. Maybe if he landed on this planet with his full power, he wouldn't get so many injuries and find himself in the situation. But surely he would have found trouble moving around. Even if he stayed put until he heals himself completely, he would move around like a mortal at best. After 3 hours, Robin opened his eyes and spoke. Gravity. If my problem is the heavenly law of gravity on this planet, I will make it work as I want. Yes, that is it, ha. Without further delay, Robin's eyes began to flash a faint green glow with a big smile on his face, and he started looking around. The view was completely different from what he remembers on his planet. The patterns of the laws are the same, but their density, clarity, and availability around him are completely different. He started moving his eyes around him for another half an hour until he finally caught the first string, the major heavenly law of gravity. Contrary to his mother planet, the major heavenly law of gravity was as powerfully present in this world as the law of wind or light and could be seen clearly. He needed some time to separate the major heavenly law of gravity patterns from all the other patterns of laws around it. But with how clear the patterns he sees are, it seems like he wouldn't even need a special place to study it to the end. He won't need a volcano as he did with the law of fire or a mountain straight as he did with the law of winds. Even if he was lying on his back here, and with the help of the second stage of the Eye of Truth, he was sure he is able to complete learning the first stage of the major heavenly law of gravity in 2 weeks or less. With a body and eyes that glowing green, Robin looked like an abnormal corpse. But perhaps on the whole planet, no one was more busy than him at this moment. 5 days later. BSHH. Who's there? Robin shouted after he heard a rustling in the grass near him, and immediately he stopped activating the eyes of truth and the law of life. BSHH. But he didn't find a response, and the sound kept getting closer, and it was too late anyway. Because he was busy with more than one thing at the same time, he couldn't spot the incoming threat in time. Whatever was approaching him had already reached a dangerous distance. Robin moved his finger, and one of the fireball talismans flew from his pants and landed on the index finger of his right hand, ready to fire at any moment towards the incoming creature. Ksha. Robin opened his eyes to the end of them. What appeared before him, at last, was not a beast, but a very beautiful girl with big eyes looking at him with fear. Everything about this girl's appearance was a little weird. She was a little short, but she had a huge chest, half naked, no clothes to mention except for 2 rags covering her sensitive areas. And remembering the beast from before, that was definitely not a place for a scared short girl like this one. Robin's killing intent calmed down a bit, as he raised his head slightly to look her in the eye and spoke with a smile. Hello, the weather is nice today, isn't it? Chapter 225 Giants. Karatue. The girl screamed in terror and then ran in the same direction she came from. No, don't go. I don't bite. Robin tried to calm her down, but she was already out of sight. Damn it, I missed my golden opportunity to sit down. Robin's back was already numb and in great pain after sleeping on this hard ground for 5 days, especially when there is a great force still pressing him down. Although he was not fond of the idea of meeting the natives in his current situation, the idea of someone helping him and supporting him on the tree trunk is very tempting. And the girl didn't appear to be that frightening. Maybe his original fear about the locals was unnecessary. It doesn't matter then, Robin said, and then went back to continue where he left off. During these few days, the wound healed at a reasonable rate, and he was able to find about 30% of the first stage of the pattern of the major law of gravity, but he still has a long way to go before he can move freely again. Just as he was about to activate the Eye of Truth again, he heard a voice coming closer. Sar. Karatue Saival. Sar. It was the voice of the girl who had just run away, but she was not alone this time. So Robin, who was almost touching the ground, heard the sounds of ba 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 ba. It sounded like the noises of human steps, but it was much heavier, and the distance between each step and step is farther than that of a running human. Gulp. I wonder if one of them would be nice enough and agree to help me sit down. Robin tried to stay as positive as possible even if his heart nearly exploded with fear. After a few more seconds, the girl appeared again from the same direction, then pointed toward him, looked behind her, and then shouted, "Sar Sar." "Huh." An annoyed voice came from behind the bushes, and then someone came out to stand next to the girl. "Is that a human?" Robin muttered in a low voice, looking slowly at the person who had just appeared from the bottom up, and it was a long way to go. At a point Robin felt like he would never reach his face. That person was at least 2.7 meters tall, about 9 feet, wearing nothing but long pants. The upper part was covered with nothing but a belt of beast hide, and the rest was covered with strange tattoos. The apparent muscles of his body seemed to be carved out of rock. His features are harsh, and his skin color can be said to be normal, but it was more bluish. Many strange attributes, but he is still generally can be considered human. Is this the guardian spirit of the forest, or something? Robin thought. Robin was still in his shock after seeing this strange-looking guardian spirit and trying to comprehend what he is. Suddenly another one with almost the same attributes came out from behind the bushes, causing Robin's mind to stop working for a moment. "He, Karatueha?" One of the two giants laughed and slapped the girl on the back of her head before pointing at Robin. "May Sotrathi." Robin furrowed his eyebrows. He didn't understand a single word that was said. Because the continent on which he was born had been in constant conflict and wars for tens of thousands of years, even before the cultivation era began, the lands and populations moved from kingdom to kingdom almost every few years. A common language arose that combines the characteristics of all the ancient tribal languages and spread rapidly with wars to be an official language for everyone later on. So almost everyone in his world spoke the same language except for an accent or a few changed words. Even the beasts above level 4 could understand this human language with ease. So this was the first time he faced a language barrier. But one thing is for sure, that giant was not pleased to see him. It was clear that he was making fun of the girl for some reason. "Soy hira kara tuwe." The giant then slammed himself on the chest and took out a dagger from his waist, a dagger that was big enough to be a sword for Robin. Then he started moving towards Robin, laughing. "Huh." Robin panicked at the scene, raised his head to see exactly what was happening, and grabbed a talisman with all his might, ready to use it at any time. A level 25 fireball rune will definitely be able to inflict great damage on the person holding the dagger and a 90% chance that it will kill him. But what about the other person? His aura and physical strength said he was definitely equal to or stronger than level 25. He wouldn't have time to shower him with talismans. That person would immediately kill him if he tried to shoot the first talisman at the dagger holder. Whether he shoots or not, he is dead in all cases. STT. The other giant signaled to his companion to stop in his place, and then looked at Robin with serious eyes and spoke slowly. "Mini cut, Rat Kiri." The other giant stopped and looked at Robin seriously as well, and then exclaimed excitedly, "Hua! Kindi Kanso! Ha ha!" The giant seemed to be celebrating for some reason, and then put the dagger into the scabbard. Robin didn't know what was going on, but whatever it is, it was fine as long as it doesn't involve using that dagger. Before he could figure out anything and how to interact with these people, the giant quickly took a few steps toward Robin and carried him on his shoulder like a baby, and nodded at the other giant, Huav Chuba. Then two giants started chatting happily on the way back, with the short girl walking behind them with her head lowered. Hearing their voices and seeing their smiles, they seemed happy as if they had found a treasure or enough food for weeks. Are they good people? Their first reaction when they saw him wasn't suggesting that. Then how bad they are. Robin felt his heart clenched at the thought of the things these two giants might do to him, but he could do nothing even if he wanted to. With a talisman in hand and closed eyes, he decided to walk with the flow and leave his fate to his luck.